Dojan! Hello, people. I'm just going to give this 1 second so I can open this up on my phone just to see if the stream has started. Probably going to be a tad bit of a delay. I do have a friend I'm going to talk to. I have someone lined up, but they are not in quite just yet. I'm going to have to refresh Discord on my phone, won't I? Probably. Just be a sec. Just be a sec. And yeah, this is the Abyss Project stream. Now, I will be 100% totally honest with you guys. For me, it is 11 p.m. I am tired. Now, if I'm not tired now, I'm going to be by the end of this stream. I better hop into Discord. Tell this nerd to get on. And, so yeah, because this is 11 p.m. for me, so I'll probably want to be up for a bit, and then I'll have to stay up or take a short nap to watch the state of play. Which I don't think, I'll get that out of the way, I don't think this Abyss project will be at state of play, but I'm gonna have to watch it just in case. But yeah, hello Frodo's World 4562, hello Chop Chop, hello Glamrock Foxy. We'll just be a few minutes for to wait for Senator to come on, because I want to talk to this with people, because I did not want to talk to the void. Hello, Rafferty Coleman. This is more people than I expected right off the bat, not gonna lie. I was doubting whether anyone is even gonna show up. When it's a state of play, very soon, I'll quickly switch to my display capture, so that, you can see the thing. But for me, it's currently 11 p.m. So for me, that's 7 a.m. So what waiting screen is this? This isn't a waiting screen. I've just got Ruin open. So basically, because I'm just going to be talking to my friends when they come on, which I better make sure he's not on right now. Oh, he's on, isn't he? Oh,
Yeah.
Did you just okay?
Sorry, I was in.
Did you just hop in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure that you're not deafening people, but I think I'm more at risk at doing that than you are, so... Can you just talk for a bit just so I can check volume levels?
Okay. I just want to add that I'm watching your live stream right now, and yeah, it does look like a background image.
Yeah.
It looks really nice though.
Yeah, no, I love it. I thought, oh wow, I'm way louder than you are. Okay, I'm gonna put my... Look, over the course of the stream, I'll get tired, okay? I'll get tired and then I'll turn quiet. But for now, I have energy, so I'm a bit louder. Later on, when I get too tired, I'll turn my volume up. What's making this look like a background image is the fact that I've technically not got Ruin open as my active tab, so when I move my mouse around, it's like not moving the camera. So I'm just sitting there unmoving. However, technically, if I just tab in, I can. You know, it is Ruin. It is just opened. This is the mimic chase at the end. I thought this would be a really fitting scene to have open while we were talking about the Abyss project, because this is where the cliffhanger is.
In fact, it could be a good idea to check it again.
To check what again, sorry?
Check the ending again if we are going to continue. If Abyss or however the new game is going to be called is going to continue from here.
Oh, no, because I want a still image for the background. And I like the still. because this stream is literally just going to be us yapping and talking to people in comments. So, there's not really going to be any visual aid. The most visuals I'm going to have is me moving my mouse around to show emotion. Oh, okay, how much shot did I miss? Okay, so, yeah, who's excited for FNaF 12? God, I am so excited that I stayed up to 11 p.m. just to talk about it.
And then you're going to stand up to like what, 7 a.m. for you
7,
for the
yeah.
state of play?
Yeah, 7. I don't even think it's gonna be at this stupid state of play, and I'm gonna stay up anyway.
I mean, maybe it could be best for you to just try to sleep a little.
I'm gonna be. It depends how I feel, because as I said, I'll probably get tired over the course of the stream. If that happens, I will sleep. But the problem with sleeping is there's a non-zero chance I'll sleep through state of play if I do that. And I kind of don't want to do
Uh,
that. We'll see what happens. It depends on how tired I am. There's also a non-zero chance that this project is making me so excited that I just stay awake. Like, I have pulled all-nighters before. It's not like completely out of what I do. You know me. You've seen the times I stay awake at.
yeah. And honestly, I think I only pull all-nighter like once or twice in my life. No.
It's called being an unemployed bum. Oh,
I need to get a job soon too.
oh, well, you're at least in like
But yeah,
college or something, aren't you? I'm not even doing that.
yeah, but I should have finished by now, but I still have the final project to. So and I want to end that before I start looking for jobs.
Yep. Okay. So I don't mean to cut off this super quick, but we have now just talked about nothing for 5 minutes. So we've done our
Yeah.
introductions. I think we should get into it and stop these 8 people in chat from waiting because we have 8 people in chat.
Okay.
That's way more than I
Pretty
usually
good.
have. That's pretty good. I was thinking like
Yeah.
I was hoping for double digits over the course of like the entire stream, and we're nearly there like instantly. So uh
Yeah, and I saw like 9 people. So
yeah.
yeah, I think you'll get it.
Yeah, okay. So, first thing, a little bit of housekeeping. So, I don't want to jump straight into the Abyss project because there's 2 other Five Nights at Freddy's related things that I think is important to cover first.
There.
The first
Mhm.
one is Secret of the Mimic. Because let's be completely real with ourselves. This too soon. Like, this stuff happening right now, it is so soon. Like, Secret of the Mimic came
Yeah,
out, what, like 2, 3 months ago? 3 months, I think, right? Uh,
yeah, and we still haven't seen the DLC, and they just put an update to to the game that added random Easter eggs too.
yeah, we've just gotten a content up. I mean, I'm gonna consider it a content update because it added something interesting. So we've gotten an
Yeah.
update. We haven't heard anything from the DLC yet. We haven't heard anything from VR mode yet, and we know there's VR mode coming. So it's like
Hmm.
we are not done with Secret of the Mimic yet, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think we'll get a trailer at PlayStation State of Play for the Abyss project. Because even though like, Fights Freddy's games get lightly teased really early all the time. Like, Secret of the Mimic had
Hmm.
concept art released before Security Breach came out. That's how far in advance we technically got light teasing for Secret of the Mimic. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, then Help Wanted 2, I think, had that one poster that was way before everything as well. So, these modern
Hmm.
Fights Freddy's games have had light teasers way before they get actually built up. So I think that's what we're seeing right now. I don't think we're seeing the build up to a big announcement. I think we're seeing the light teasing way earlier. That's what I
Hmm.
think is going on. However, I can't deny that
Uh,
the possibility that this is build up, so again, I have to watch State of Play just in case, right?
Maybe it's something in the middle, and in the state of play, they'll show Fights Freddy's the DLC for Secret of the Mimic,
I
and
don't.
then in that DLC, you don't think so?
No way. They didn't. If they didn't show Ruin off in a State of Play, I highly doubt they'd show Secret of the Mick DLC at State of Play.
Hmm. Fair.
It seems like nothing outside of just actual game announcements get put there. I don't think DLC or the VR mode or anything will be at State of Play.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. And also, I wanted to add now that we are discussing Secret of the Mimic, I went and looked for all of the new changes they added in the last update. And there is the shadow from in the office that's clearly Edwin or something.
yeah, it's totally
But
Edwin.
there's also, yeah. In fact, is there a name for him in the files? How's that shadow called? Or is it
Silhouette.
just in the past? Silhouette. Oh.
I'm pretty sure it's literally just Silhouette or Warehouse Silhouette or something like that. In fact, yeah, I think it's
Well,
Warehouse Silhouette.
yeah, I guess they learned their lesson after naming Princess Quest as Cassidy.
It's funny to think it's probably not even Cassidy.
Yeah. Imagine if they deliberately added that just to confuse people.
I look, when it comes to security breach stuff, I genuinely think Steelwool Studios just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
It's
I
unfortunate
mean,
to say, but I do think that they were really left in the dark.
it's been years and we still don't fully know what happened in Secret to Breach outside, the canon ending for Ruin and such.
I thought about that recently, and I was like, we really didn't know much about security breach even now. But then I looked back at old theory videos just recently, because I've talked to you about this, but I've been rewatching like old videos for a good few months, quite a while now, and trust me, early security breach theories, ugh, ugh.
There
the
was a lot of Burn Trap is William Afton revive and such.
Bro, Burn Trap is William Afton is like the most tame one. Like the security breach theories were horrendous, and it's not even because of the theories themselves, because the game itself, right? It's how its story was so butchered. So I will say definitely we have definitely gotten clarification on security breach. I think we have way better of an understanding of what's going on now than we did back then. Like even if we've only gotten a few reveals, those few reveals have been quite huge. Like knowing about Gregory and knowing about the Mimic alone are two massive reveals that solve like half of Security Breach's mysteries on their own. So
Yeah, yeah. When we listen to those therapy sessions that on Security Breach, I really hope those are still canon because they were so good.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um anyway, I didn't really want to go into Security Breach today, I'm gonna be honest. um Secret of the Mimic. Oh, actually no,
Hmm.
I wanna establish one thing before we really dive into this. Uh we agree that the Abyss project is FNaF 12, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah. Like
I
we
don't
got
imagine we're going.
like we got the word.
We're,
Sorry, go.
no, no, you go. You go.
Okay. We got the word abyss for gracefully into the abyss. Who will catch you when you fall into the abyss poem. And an abyss is like a seemingly endless cave or a seemingly endless like hole or something like that. It's a
Uh,
bottomless pit. That's a seemingly bottomless pit. I think's the closer, more accurate term. Um, and
Look
when
into
I
the pit once again.
when it comes to modern day, like Five Nights at Freddy's, where we're left off right now, and someone so far underground that they're considered in a bottomless pit, who who am I supposed to think of if not Cassie?
It has to be.
Right.
No,
That and I mean it could like some people said it could be a spin-off, but it's like eh
that doesn't sound like that. They wouldn't diss it as much. I mean, how much dissing did we get for 5 laps after this?
we got like no build up of Five Nights at Freddy's. It was announced. These type of teasers don't go to spin-off games. Just flat out.
Hmm.
So okay. Well, I guess FNAF World, but look, that was Scott era. That's different. uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it feels what's coming being built up with these Abyss Project stuff. It feels important. It feels like a big deal. It feels connected to Cassie's story. Definitely feels connected to Cassie. And it's like I can't imagine a story continuing Cassie's story that isn't a mainline game. Like I cannot imagine it. Like if it's
You-
continuing her story, that's the main story. Like it's not going to be a spin-off.
hmm. I mean, we also got her dad as the main character in the Wanted 2. So too much.
Yes, yes, I was going to talk about that. I was going to save that for a little bit later, but we can jump into that right now if you want to. Cassie, we had like,
No, no.
yeah, I mean, if it's a good starting point, to be honest. Because like where previous games left off is a pretty good starting point for the Abyss project.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we should do what we said we'd do earlier and go to Secret of the Mimic. But I think we've already kind of covered that. 'Cause it's like VR mode. We haven't even gotten anything announced for that. The Edwin silhouette. I mean, that's definitely
Yeah,
teasing Edwin survived or will return at some point. But like, I don't know if that
I mean,
necessarily means the next game.
Yeah, and also you could get that Edwin survived when they didn't show his corpse on the office.
Y-
Like in the recording where he says that he couldn't walk anymore, you would think that he will stay there. So if he wasn't there, either the mimic moved him or survived and escaped.
Yeah, it's weird because the mimic definitely left him there. Like the whole thing of that scene was the mimic was mimicking his child neglect, which is awesome, by the way. I'll add that. That's absolutely amazing. He repeats his child neglect back to him as an excuse to like leave him to die. That's glorious. 10 out of 10 storytelling. Um, but yeah, Edwin, I think definitely survived because as you said, we literally go, we know exactly where his body is. We see the rubble that he's supposedly trapped under, and the mimic left him there. It didn't directly kill him. It left him there because it was copying his child neglect. So the mimic didn't finish him off. It just left him to die. We go to the place where he was supposedly left to die, and he's not there. That's
Hmm.
not only that, but if that's not good enough for you, Tales from the Pizzaplex may not be canon to the games, but they do connect and tease the games. And Edwin Murray went missing in the Mimic story and then came back in the Storyteller.
Oh yeah, true.
So
Imagine if that's how he comes back in F12. Although he would be like what 80 by then.
he'd be too old. That is the one big gripe with Edwin coming back in the modern story, I think, is this man will be old, old. Like, he'd be so old that what would he even do to contribute to the story at this point that won't feel unrealistic? So
I don't know.
I have heard
Yeah,
a
that's a
theory.
good.
Sorry, go.
Hmm? No. Also, now that we are on topic on tales from the Pizzaplex, I get now that the books cannot be canon, as the mimic story in the books is different from the one on the games. But there's also an interesting detail that in the new update, they removed that drawing of David and Mimic in the break room. You know, the one where he's fully, where the Mimic is just complete in body when he wasn't, when he was supposed to be just the upper half, like on the start of the story. So I thought that was interesting and
Huh.
uh, worth bringing up at least.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, I want to go back to Edwin for just one sec. I heard a theory that Edwin probably won't physically appear, but what he'll do is he will have done something in the past, and that will be how he
Hmm.
contributes to the modern story. Something like how I've been theorizing for a bit, but I haven't made a YouTube video on it, but you'd know about it, is that I'm pretty sure that
Yeah,
Edwin wrote the wall code. It feels very right that he's the one who wrote that.
yeah,
Because I mean, it's about an inventor like break and mend. I built the breath, and then he talks about how the mimic works. He talks about everything. I think for some reason, everything Gregory does. Um, he's just clearly someone with ties to the mimic who's an inventor in the modern story. Who else other than Edwin does that role fit? Especially considering it's in the Pizzaplex too, which again, if we're assuming that Edwin won't physically return, but just returned at some point in the Pizzaplex era or something, that
hmm.
really cleanly lines up with Tales from the Pizzaplex. Because the storyteller is in the Pizzaplex, right? So,
Hmm.
I
And yeah, they
do.
had the mixed sense too. I mean, what story in the storyteller just to be on the same page here?
Uh, what story the storyteller is, it's about the giant tree.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, it's the stupid tree. As I call it stupid, it's a really pretty tree. It's like all rainbow leaves and stuff. It's like super fancy. I love the Tales from the Pizzaplex descriptions. They're better than the Tales from the Pizzaplex stories. Oh, okay, I haven't been reading comments. Didn't Cassie's dad get turned into a mask bot or something? I have no freaking idea what happened to Cassie's dad. I'm gonna be completely real. It's so strange because the entirety of Hellpointed 2 is in a simulation, to the point where there's a whole ending where you enter Princess Quest. So It's
That one was so good.
yeah. It feels like quantum immortality. For those who have read the Taos and the Pizzaplex books, there's this concept that appears, I'm pretty sure, more than once, called quantum immortality, where the brain is still living on, and but you're not really dying. It's like you die, but your consciousness doesn't die. So you have this
Mm.
thing of like, I think under construction is probably the easiest example. Maya in that story is forever suffocating in those weird blob things. Look, Tales of the Pizzaplex is weird, but there's basically these weird blob creatures that keep more of them keep appearing, keep growing, and she ends up getting suffocated and is forever suffocating. She is never dying in that story. She suffocates forever.
Uh,
However, in the real world, she'd already died in the VR booth. So it it's weird because yeah, quantum immortality is a thing in Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh god. I think that's what's going on with Cassie's dad though. I think he is physically dead, but his consciousness is forever stuck in Whole Pointed 2.
mm. Yeah, I can. I really can see him returning just as a supporting role for Cassie, even if Cassie is not the playable character anymore.
Yeah, oh, I'm gonna.
Yeah, we haven't seen that.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Go. I interrupted.
Yeah. Uh, just basically that. I don't think Cassie's dad. We have seen the last of Cassie's dad at this point,
Oh,
especially if he wasn't the one.
definitely not. We are definitely seeing him again. Cassie, Hellpointed 2 did not. That entire game basically built up Cassie's dad as a character. Like, the story
Yeah.
itself was just repeating Security Breach. It basically did nothing to the story. It was just like, nah, quit Princess Quest 3 didn't do it. It was actually Princess Quest 4. It's just the exact same plot point but moved just to excuse the existence of the game. The only actual new piece of story that that game provided was, hey, Cassie's dad is like every second background character. It's like, why would you spend a whole game where the only real reveal is building up this character if you're not going to do anything with them? And the even crazier thing about Cassie's dad, he's in the VR world. Cassie is doomed to suffer the same fate. She's put on that mask. She's got the chip in her head. She's like, it's, she's, if she's, her consciousness is going to end up there too. They're both going to end
True.
up stuck in the VR world, and I think they're going to meet each other in the VR world, in my opinion.
I mean, doesn't Cassie basically get stuck in the VR world in the Brazil ending?
Yeah. Actually, that's actually something I should cover too. Even if
Hmm.
Cassie escapes the underground and the abyss, she's kind of screwed anyway. Unless the thing gets.
Yeah.
Because the Vanny mask already drilled something into her head, and that's already messing with her perception of even the real world. Now, it's not to the same extent as the VR world, but. Or AR world, sorry. I get the term confused. It's not as much. It's not as controlling as the AR world, but it's definitely still controlling. And it'd be interesting to see if they take advantage of that.
Hmm. Yeah, I imagine so, especially if the mimic somehow gets access to that or access.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've just lingered on this one comment for a while. Oh, this next comment is I swear the mimic is about to outlive every single FNaF character. Yeah.
But I was more focused on the other comment. My theory is that Freddy Fazbear is racist.
Wait,
It can
what?
be canon.
Hang on. Is my chat not live? It's not the live
No,
chat. What
I
the
thought
fuck?
the one before that.
Oh my god. Whoops. Um. Sorry to however many messages I might have missed because it wasn't actually in live chat. I don't think I missed anything
Yeah.
important. Uh, if I missed you, you're not important. Confirmed. Sorry, it's just how it is. I don't make the
Yeah.
rules. Uh, like possession. Yeah, the VR, the quantum immortality stuff is strange. I don't think it's possession because you're not possessing anything. It's it's kind of its own sinister other thing. It's like how haunted objects aren't necessarily possessed by something either, because in the Fazbear Frights book series, And I think it tells for the Petaplex as well. I don't really remember. I know it happens a lot in Frats at least. Look, the two series kind of blend together a little bit sometimes. But in Frights, I know there's a lot of moments where there's haunted objects, but they aren't really controlled by something. It's they've been given life by agony, or something like that. Like I believe Dr. Phineas Taggart, is that his name? Phineas Taggart? Yes, I think so. He's the one who experimented with agony, and for example, put agony into a rocking chair, I believe. No, he didn't put it into a rocking chair. I think he just recounted a story of it happening to a rocking chair. But when agony haunted a rocking chair, it starts moving on its own. And it's not it's being
Oh,
possessed by something, it's just it's generally kind of haunted, so it's just kind of doing stuff now. It's not
hmm.
like the rocking chair's possessed by a ghost, though. Like, that's a different thing. Uh, so there's a bit of a difference between haunting, possession, and whatever the sinister quantum immortality crap is. uh, and unfortunately, it is kind of an important distinction in Five Nights at Freddy's, especially when it comes to things like the Mimic. Because I do not believe the Mimic is possessed. But it is interesting that the Mimic cannot be recreated physically. We get more than one Mimic program, but the Mimic endoskeleton cannot be recreated. Edwin couldn't make another. And I do think it's because it's haunted in some way. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't think it's directly possessed because it's not acting particularly like anybody. It's it's a little strange. Five Nights at Freddy's is a little strange, but I mean it's a paranormal story, so it's kind of what you'd expect, right?
Yeah. And it comes back to the remnant and agony sets. But what I want to say on that note, there is also a comment here of I think M6, MX Sexo is also the M1 consciousness too.
MXCS is a very interesting topic, and I did want to cover this too. This is actually one of I was about to get to this comment as well because I also thought it was really interesting. Um, Now, in Secret of the Mimic, MXCS or F10-N4 is very obviously M1. Like, it's like, come on. um, However, I am going to be honest. In Ruin, MXCS doesn't act even remotely similar to how it did in Secret of the Mimic. They they're completely different. I don't see those as the same program at all. But instead, in Secret of the Mimic, we hear about in a message, we hear about a program called Cradle.exe, which is a program
Hmm.
for a supercomputer that is designed to add boundaries for M1's son, who she considers M2 her son. So it's a program designed to add boundaries to the Mimic. And when I think about a supercomputer giving boundaries to the Mimic, that reminds me a hell of a lot more of MXCS than anything else.
Hmm.
Is
That could work.
oh,
Ironically, it reminds me to Portal, where GLaDOS had some cores to nullify her personality, and so she would stop killing the employers too.
I've seriously got to play Portal. I've already bought the games, I just haven't got around to it yet. I've seriously got to play the Portal games. I really
You can do
am.
it now. Wait for the setup.
Yeah, sorry, Fights Freddy's fans. Got to play Portal real quick. I almost did that yesterday. I almost streamed a Steel Ball Run stream, but um, I didn't because it
They
had.
said,
Yeah, they were really antsy about it. It seemed like a very bad idea. So good thing I didn't do that. I meant someone's consciousness. Not sure if it's M1 or not. Yeah, I think someone's consciousness is in the MXCS.
hmm, like that.
Yeah, I could see it. I definitely think the ruined Nexus. What are we gonna call this? I'm just gonna call it ruined Nexus. I think that's the easiest way to say it. Um, because if I call it Cradle, then that's kind of jamming my theories onto everybody. But it's very interesting. There's definitely something up with it. I don't know if it's like got some sort of consciousness. per se, but it does seem quite aware, and I'm not. It doesn't feel like a mimic because it's not a mimic program. If it is Cradle, then that's not a mimic anyway. So I don't know. It's interesting, and I don't know what to say about it. Ugh.
Uh, yeah, I
Uh,
think Max. I see both for Max being M1. It's too complicated, just too advanced to not be.
you think like modern Nexus is still M1?
Yeah, I mean, it could be lobotomized, anyways.
It could be lobotomized.
Yeah, just like they did with Grok at one time.
Oh god. Guys, I think we just solved it. MXCS was the victim of the bite of 87. We solved the law,
Grok.
guys. Oh, no, but you're right to call it out because M1, I think after Secret of the Mimic's big reveal, I think we can agree that the biggest reveal of Secret of the Mimic is definitely that there's two mimics, right? Like that's kind of the
Yeah,
big one. Um, I think M1 is the biggest question mark right now. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on with M1 right now because M2 is obvious, it's the mimic, like it's the one we've been following so far. But you introduce an M1 and it's like, where do you fit in? Like, I know game theory proposed the idea that M1 is glitch trap. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I don't think so. I I am
mm,
so
no, yeah.
I feel like burn trap is mimic, and I feel like burn trap and glitch trap are the same thing. So I feel like glitch trap kind of has to be M2 because mimic is M2 at the moment.
I, honestly, I need to say this because like we discussed, security breach is a clusterfuck of the lore. You aren't even sure Burn Trap is supposed to look like we see him.
The most we know about burn trap is his fingerprint still exists physically in a vent. So it is a canon design somewhere at some point. That's about it. Because the ending itself was made up by Gregory, and you can tell that it didn't happen because the place hasn't collapsed. So we know the ending didn't happen. The character somehow existed. We don't know what it did if it wasn't part of the ending, though. So I think the easiest answer is just the mimic was wearing William's corpse. I think that's the obvious answer in the room. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it does kind of destroy my headcanons of thinking Scrap Trap is a canon redesign because Burn Trap is obviously a burnt spring trap. So if it's the William down in Pizza Sim, then that means Scrap Trap was not canon redesign and it just was a weird redesign for meta's sake. And I kind of preferred it
Yeah,
being a canon redesign, but I mean, it's Scott's story, so like, who am I to judge? People didn't like
yeah.
Scrap Trap
I
anyways.
prefer to think of Trap Trap as William taking, uh, as the name suggests, taking scrap pieces from other costumes,
As the
other
name
Springtrap costumes.
As the name suggests, as the fan-made name suggests, based off Scrap Baby.
Oh, right, right. I forgot that.
uh,
What if it's a name anyway?
so
After.
yeah, officially he's only ever referred to as Afton. Scrap Trap is used on an arcade machine, in Security Breach
Oh,
with Mad Science with Doctor Scrap Trap, but in all other instances, that version of William has always been referred to as just Afton.
I mean, this is this is FNaF. Um, they usually take the names that the fan creates. Like we could be stuck with Yellow Bear.
I am still, ever since the Scott interview confirmed that Scott didn't like Glitch Trap and Burn Trap. Those were just placeholders, and he wanted the community to come up with better names. I've been pissed that the community just went with the file names. Malhair was so much of a better name. Yeah, could have. If people just stuck with the Malheur name, it would have been the canon one because Scott didn't like Glitchtrap. But because Yao was so adamant on using the file names, we missed out.
We should do the opposite. In fact, Silver Studios should just put in the files name placeholder name, just so people have to come up with a new name.
Oh yeah, or like what Scott did in his games where he just didn't name the objects, so everything was just like background 24, background 25.
Either that or he smashes like Shadow Bunny.
Hey, that's apparently his actual name, canonically.
It's funny.
Oh, Craigsy's popped in for a sec. Hey man, thought I'd pop in and say hi. I'm not staying 'cause I'm sick and tired of a good stream. Thanks, Craigsy. It's okay. This would have spoiled you hard anyways because you haven't even played Secret of the Mimic. Uh,
He's asking.
anyway, I want to loop back around to this question because I do want to talk about this as well. You think Night Marion is going to do something other than being a plushie in this game?
And ruin means.
In the next game, I'd assume, in the Abyss Project.
Oh,
Um, Night Marion is it's so interesting. The Night Marion imagery is so interesting because it started off just being like, yeah, whatever. Like Security Breach has Night Marion plushies. Like, yeah, I mean, Security Breach follows on from Help Wanted. So because of that, Security Breach can reference literally everything without it being law breaking. So yeah, just Night Marion being referenced, sure, it's just one of the many, many, many random references. Doesn't mean anything. Sure, it might be put in suspicious locations, but I mean, plenty of plushies or whatever are put in silly locations. If I recall correctly, there's only John FNaF discovered there is only one singular Toy Chica plushie in the entirety of Security Breach, and it's in the Mangle vent repair, and it's behind a vent you can barely see into. And it's like, that's suspiciously hidden. Does it mean anything? I don't think so. So, from Security Breach alone, I barely would have even been suspicious. Like, even with the Night Marion staff bots, that could have been tossed up to, yeah, Glitch was in Help Wanted. It's recreating what he's seeing. Whatever, big deal. But then it gets weirder. You have stuff like Help Wanted 2, and the staff bots instantly become Night Marion staff bots. There's no transition, it's instant. It's like, that's weird. That feels strangely paranormal. Uh, you have there was something else. Yeah, the Secret of the Mimic, the big one that made me raise my eyebrow. Jackie.
hmm.
When Jackie deteriorates by the end of her chase, she loses her nose, and she gains black tear streaks and black stripes along her arms. She looks like Night Marion, and her jump scare sound is freaking Night Marion's.
It is?
It's Night Marion's overlaid with Jackie's voice actor going, ah!
Hmm.
But yeah, like,
Yeah, it should.
it's, that's the one that really made me eyebrow raise, because it's like, why is Night Marion still being involved, even in times where it can't be a reference to the game? Was Mimic, like, you could just pass it off as, oh, maybe all the Night Marion imagery was actually mimicking the Jackie deterioration, but it's like, the Jackie deterioration itself was weird. That's not how they should wither. That's a strange design change. It's,
Yeah, we see how they're destroyed, especially, Dolly being molten, and Big Top falling from the roof and such.
yeah,
Jackie is just decides to tear herself apart.
yeah, yeah. Big Top, Dolly, they get destroyed, and they look destroyed. Jackie decides, yeah, it's time to become Night Marion. Like, here's my theory.
It's like
Here's,
it's like,
oh, sorry, girl.
it's like evolution with craft. Yeah, you eventually become a Mario with enough time.
I do have a theory. I think the canon version of Night Marion, not like what FNAF 4 whatever does. I
I mean, she becomes it
I
becomes from there. Yeah,
I think that the canon version of Night Marion is going to be like the Mimic's agony entity.
Hmm.
So, like the pain and suffering that the Mimic has caused, or the pain and suffering in the Mimic itself from Edwin beating it, I think is going to materialize as Nightmarion. I don't know why it would materialize as Nightmarion, but I think just in world, that is what Nightmarion will end up being. My only
I was looking at his quotes, and one of them in the UCN. I mean, one of his quotes was, "I am the fearful reflection of what you have created." Maybe it could be connected to the mimic too.
I'm going to be 100% real with you.
Hmm?
None of this was planned, UCN.
Fair enough. I maybe not. We know Help Wanted was already in production when UCN was in.
Yeah, no, but Help Wanted wasn't when Nightmarion was suspicious. Nightmarion's only imagery in Help Wanted was just one level. So,
Fair.
the only time
Was it?
Nightmarion really became suspicious was in Security Breach, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't. As much as I think Security Breach was a concept back then, because it factually was from SteamDB, I don't think it was as thought out as, yeah, the Nightmarion plushies are gonna be this grand mystery in 2 games away. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know if you had that planned back then. Eh,
Yeah.
when I listen to Night Marion's voice lines from UCN, it just sounds like referencing the fact that they're from FNaF 4 and like the Halloween edition from FNaF 4. I don't think there's any other meaning to that, to be honest. At least I'm not
Fair
banking on
enough.
there being more meaning. But it is a good call out. I will give you that. The fearful reflection and a character about mimicking or I guess reflecting what other characters do, that is a connection even if unintentional. So it is worth calling out.
Yeah, and also Ghost Boy just on the chat just brought a really good point. Does Tangle's tentacles count as a Nightmarion thing?
I do not think so. I'll talk about Tangle later because he's an entire other can of worms. I'm not done with Nightmarion yet.
And
Plushies, Nightmare Staff, Bots, Shadow Jackie, what's the plan? Yeah, right. Uh, okay, so Cesium Paracosm think Nightmarion is Shadow Freddy. Yeah, I've heard that theory. Left just a colorful Nightmare, Shadow Freddy, Black Bear puppet inside. Notice how the collectible Nightmare plush. Yeah, in the daycare, yep. Um,
but I didn't think of Lefty being a color flip of Nightmare. But that's a good color, yeah.
I will say there was actually one other big weird thing in Security Breach that I forgot to mention until now. So thanks for saying something like that just to make me think of this, bring up Nightmare. Are we gonna talk about why Nightmarion is called Nightmare consistently in the modern games? Like Help Wanted calls it
Hmm.
Nightmarion, but in Security Breach and Ruin, whatever, it's Nightmare. It's not a Nightmarion.
Yeah.
It's Nightmare. It's referred to as Nightmare.
Hmm.
So
True.
is it the same entity as Nightmare from FNAF 4? Because if that's the case, then how the hell is it Mimic related?
It probably isn't. Especially since I mean I imagine the Nightmarion from FNAF 4 and UCN can be the same without problem. But after that, it gets really complicated for those to be the same.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations in Five Nights at Freddy's where I think there's evidence pointing in different directions, and it's kind of just up to the individual in which direction you think is stronger. Um, it is interesting. It is definitely worth calling out. Uh, I do disagree on Shadow Freddy being connected. I know a lot of people think Nightmare is Shadow Freddy, but literally the only piece of evidence for that is something from the game files, because Nightmare mode is referred to as Shadow Freddy mode or something like that, and
Hmm.
it's like when you look at Nightmare Bonnie and he'd be referred to like as Bonnie. It's like, does that mean he's the exact same character as FNAF 1 Bonnie and he's just been damaged like that over time? I don't think so. So I don't have any reason to believe the same's the case for Nightmare. Like, it's pretty obvious that
Mm,
Nightmare is conceptually a Nightmare version of Shadow Freddy. And I think that's all that is.
yeah.
I don't think they're literally the same thing just because they're the same type of character. there's plenty of examples where that's not the case in Five Nights at Freddy's. That's you need something, anything else to add to that, and there just kind of isn't anything else. And
Hmm.
then there's especially things like that theory that was brought up there. It's a lot of other things stacked on top of assuming that is the case. And it's like that's a shaky foundation, I think.
I get it, but this is FNaF. You need to at least assume some theory as correct, so you
Oh
can
yeah,
then work out from there.
oh yeah. I'm not gonna say it's wrong either. Like that's another thing. I'm not even gonna say it's wrong. I'm just saying it's not compelling to me. I need something else to be compelled in that. I'm not saying it's wrong at all. I've been wrong so many times in official Five Nights at Freddy stuff. I've thought theories were complete nonsense before they were proven correct. Like, whether it's compelling to me or not doesn't mean shit.
That's a fun in FNaF, right?
Uh, I remember
But
back in Ruin when a lot of people, like even game theory, were saying, guys, trust me, Cassie's dad is actually the body mask bully from FNAF 4. And I was just sitting here like, what are you on about? Y'all are insane. And then Hope Wanted 2 released.
you was on something.
So, like, yeah, just because I don't think something is compelling does not mean it's like a bad theory or anything. It's just, you know, how it be. Uh,
But yeah.
at this
Also,
at this hang on, I got a few more things I want to read. Circus Baby's entertainment rental is shown to be under the Pizzaplex. No, it has not been. So thus Nightmare Chambers would have to be as well. Fairly certain we'll see them not. The reason why people think Circus Babies is under the Pizzaplex is under the assumption that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place is Fredbear's Family Diner. And if you believe that theory, then it is logically connected to Circus Babies, which means it would logically be under the Pizzaplex. The
like I
problem
said, you need to assume some theory as correct to you, so you can work even more theories.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem with that is that's all based on the foundation that Observatory 1 is the real Fredbear's and not a recreation or something. Which I'm not sure how I feel about when things like Tales from the Pizzaplex or whatever show it as a recreation. It's like, I don't know. The other thing is that the other reason people thought that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place was Fredbear's Family Diner. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the other reason why the people thought that was the same is because people think that Charlotte Emily died at Fredbear's, and there's similar imagery to the alleyway within FNAF 6 to seeing an alleyway at Fredbear's, I think, from a death minigame.
Hmm.
The problem with that is we now also know that Charlie died at Freddy's because of Ticket to Find Ephemera Kit. I have not got the Ephemera Kit, but I've had that spoiled for me. Charlie factually dies at Freddy's, apparently. So that is debunked, that point. So the evidence for
Yeah,
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place being Fredbear's, I don't think is fantastic. And that's one of the biggest points for Circus Babies being under the Pizzaplex. However, it is not the only point. You know, like this giant ass sister location fan sitting right in front of me. uh, and you know, the whole point of two in the room, right? Why would the training simulation for the Pizzaplex have sister location levels? Why would the
well,
Bonkabon minigame with that takes place in Circus Babies have Pizzaplex arcade machines? Is there a connection there, or is it just the devs messing something up in asset reuse because it's whole point of two and wasn't that important? Who knows? But
I
you
mean,
could
didn't at least Scrap Baby also appear in Shop on the 2, or am I just imagining things?
Scrap Baby appeared in the FNAF 6 recreation.
Yeah.
However, the FNAF 6 recreation isn't really FNAF 6. It's a this medical training thing that it's
Hmm.
inspired of FNAF 6. It's not really a solid recreation. It's not a solid location or anything like that. It's just Fazbear. For some reason, Fazbear Entertainment prepares you for Scrap Baby if you're doing medical stuff. Which, to be fair, I think that's a good move from Fazbear Entertainment. That's really generous to prepare their employees for killer animatronics.
foreshadowing in a way.
I went. Oh, I'm way far back in these comments, so don't mind me for a sec. I'm just gonna jump back for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I heard at this point the theory of every shadow being one entity may be canon. No way. They appear together in more than one game. So, FNaF 2 has Shadow Bonnie and RWQ FS6E. FNaF 3 has Shadow Freddy, RWQ FS6E, Shadow Cupcakes as well. Um,
Okay.
uh,
Oh yeah, the minigame.
Yeah, which is, by the way, the reason why I've always hated the theory that the Shadow animatronics are Springlock suit victims, because the Shadow Cupcakes aren't even just in the minigame. You click on them to get into the minigame. They are actual Shadow animatronics in the real world. So it's like, if the Shadows were the dead bodies of employees wearing Springlock suits, who, who had the bright idea to wear a cupcake Springlock suit? Oh, that was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, because they can appear together in the same game, I don't think they're the same entity. Um, I think I heard a theory once about Night Marion being some sort of Grim Reaper in the FNAF universe, not too sure. Narratively, maybe there might be some narrative parallels there or something, or some narrative connections there. There is no way in hell that Night Marion is literally the Grim Reaper. just, I mean, if it is, I'll eat dirt, but like, I highly doubt that's what they're doing with that. Okay, so the thing with Shadow Freddy being nightmare is that in the Fright story Hide and Seek, Shadow Bonnie becomes more nightmarish upon feeding on more agony. How does that
Oh yeah,
compare
that's
to
the
Shadow
part.
Freddy? Um, I know that Shadow Freddy isn't that yeah, that Shadow Freddy is probably an agony entity. I would agree that shadows are agony entities, but I'm not sure why agony entities becoming existing proves that two of them are the same. That feels like a weird connection to draw. Uh, what does the Abyss poem mean? It's not for FNAF, it's from something else. The excerpt that was shared, though, I think the full poem, I actually forgot what it was about. I did look into it. I forgot, I'm going to be honest, sorry. But I know the excerpt was basically just hopelessness. I think the important part was the fact it was called Abyss. Because, it wasn't made literally for FNAF, so I didn't really want to dig too deep. Uh, but maybe I should have
It's
dug
related to
deeper. It's like, Night Marion is Nightmare, but you can't prove it. That's fair. Uh,
I guess. Yeah, that one's fair. Yeah.
this person says, I think the secret of the Mimic Freddy's prototype is the sister location. Private room.
And do we see that one?
Uh, secret of the Mimic Freddy's being... Okay, that would probably tie into the bigger theory that Maria's costume manor got retrofitted or turned into sister location. Um, That's a theory I have yet to come up with a stance on. It's one of those where I'm like, yeah, it's possible. We'll see what happens with that. I don't think we've seen wherever Cassie has fallen into, it's probably either MCM or sister location, or a completely new place specifically for this game. I think it's one of those options. If it has to be a location that we've seen before, though, which to be fair, I think it's likely. I think we'll find out what is and isn't the same. The Fazburger thing's kind of getting hard to keep track of. I'm gonna be honest. There's so many things that could be under the Pizzaplex, and so many of those things can't both be under the Pizzaplex. And it's just sitting there like, what is and isn't under there? Is MCM under there? Who knows? If is we can't. What I can be certain of is Circus Babies is connected to uh, this Fredbear's Observatory 1, whether it be the real Fredbear's or a fake one. But if it is the real one, then it can't be MCM, but it could also just be a fake one. I don't know. It's the Fazburger is just a little confusing at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I always say when we speak about the each allocation being on top of another location, I always think of that Phineas and Song. and first song, floor after floor after floor after floor.
Yeah.
I, I I really don't like to think that everything is under another on top of the previous location. It's just too complicated.
Y-
Expand.
I look, I'm fine with this at the moment. I would prefer if eventually they stopped doing this. that's that's my thoughts. I was cool with it, but they're gonna start pushing it if they keep going.
Yeah. Like the FNaF 4 house and sister location being close to each other, basically on top, makes sense. But after that,
Uh, Dr. Dave says, what if Secret of the Mimic and Ruined Mimics are not the same? Um, that would be stupid. That's what if. Why would
it's
you
possible.
imagine imagine having the Mimic as the main character, then doing a whole lore drop on the secret of the Mimic, and then to be like, yeah, but it's for a completely different thing you'll never see again. Not relevant to the story. Don't worry about it.
Secret.
The secret of the thing that you'll never have to worry about ever again. Oh god. The connection I'm drawing with the Shadow Bonnie thing is that Shadow Bonnie becoming more nightmarish. He's not really becoming more nightmarish though. He's becoming bigger and starting to look like Shadow Bonnie. Because when the shadow first
Hmm.
appeared, it was just the dude's shadow. The transformation was it turning into Shadow Bonnie. It did become bigger. It was getting bigger over time, but like the teeth and the eyes is all its real features were, and those are features of Shadow Bonnie just in general. It's not really becoming a nightmare. Uh,
Hmm.
that's my. I mean, again, I'm not trying to shoot it down. It's just, it's not. I don't think so. It'd be nice to see Cassie slowly losing her mind. Oh yeah, I don't think she'd become the
Hmm.
next Fanny. I really don't like
Okay.
that.
Can be done with it. If anything, I think her dad would save her from that fate.
Yeah, I, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like there's no evidence against it or anything. I just wouldn't like it. Uh,
And it's completely really.
but Cassie, there's a lot of one thing I am really, really interested in what Cassie's going through right now because not only is she in God knows where, but think about how she's feeling. Roxanne Wolf got obliterated by the Mimic. She don't at
Yeah.
this point she thinks Gregory's betrayed her, so she's lost basically her father's like gone bye bye in
Yeah.
Hellpointed too.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
lost
Oh.
everyone. Your voice is cutting out like crazy during that, just saying.
And if anything, if Roxy comes back, it's going to be possessed by the mimic, being used by the mimic.
Yeah, I've actually had quite a few people in my comment section, even today, just in the post for this stream, had someone tell me it's like Cassie's got plot. I mean, Roxy's got plot armor, so she's definitely she survived once, which means she's definitely going to come back in the next game. It's like you can cope
I mean,
that.
Monty's completely dead. Chica may come back, but Monty's dead.
People can cope that Roxy's are still around. I'm not going to stop them.
I
Oh,
mean, actually, that would be really funny if Monty and Roxy and even somehow Eclipse is dead, but Chica is just there eating trash. She was never bothered.
Chica's vibing forever in a trash pile. And oh, and then Freddy's head has got 5-star luxury service with Gregory.
I hope he becomes a mechanic in the next game.
Oh, actually, I like how all of this talk. Have we talked about? We haven't talked about what we think the actual plot of the next game's going to be. We've just talked about straight
Oh,
points. Do we dive
yeah,
into that right
actually,
now?
sure, we should absolutely.
Um,
Okay, first off,
yep.
who do you think is going to be the protagonist?
So
Cassie, Gregory, or someone else?
okay. Yes. So the protagonist. For a while, you know me, but other people don't, so I'm gonna say this. For a while, I've been under the impression the game would be about Gregory going down to save Cassie and trying to earn her trust back. Because Cassie does not trust Gregory. Like, even though it was definitely the Mimic who dropped her, and Gregory's probably not evil, at least not anymore, but it was the Mimic controlling him at the time it was, but Gregory, I don't think himself is evil at this point in the timeline. But,
Also, in Escape from the Pizza Plex, Gregory was possessed, right?
oh, for sure. That's definitely
Yeah, then yeah,
the giveaway is Cassie says sometimes Gregory's pranks go too far. Uh, but this is just she says a comment, it's like this is too much. This is further than Gregory normally goes. So it turns Gregory. Gregory is acting like himself, but more malicious and a little bit more exaggerated, which is literally one to one exactly what Glitchtrap does to people's personalities. So if that's not a telltale sign, I don't know what is. uh, but yeah, Gregory. I for a while was thinking Gregory was going to save Cassie, but there is one reason why I don't think so anymore, and that's because of all the emphasis on us being in an abyss. Like, if that is the case, then the game would be in the abyss. Like, because if it was Gregory going down to save Cassie, the abyss would be the climax of the game, not the game just in general. So I feel like the emphasis on the abyss is making me lean more towards us playing as Cassie trying to get out, which is probably the idea most people had, but I was against it at first just because it sounded too generic.
and it could also be as entering the abyss. And I imagine we would traverse the Pizza Plex a third time, as Gregory again. So I guess we could start in the lower part too. Although, is someone else joining the Discord call? Because I keep hearing.
um, no one else is coming.
Hmm.
No one else is here, so just us.
Okay,
Um,
weird.
the voices are in your head. It might just be my mic echoing or something. I am using kind of crappy headphones mic. My mic's kind of always kind of shit, so. Um, what was I gonna say? Right. Cassie. Yes, Cassie. I think the actual big one that made me really pivot onto playing as Cassie is me thinking of Cassie's dad. I am 100% certain, maybe not this game, but I think this game. But at some point, if they've set up Cassie's dad, Cassie is going to meet her father. Sure. Like, there's no way they don't do a family reunion. They're gonna meet.
Yeah.
Uh, and honestly, if it's Cassie meeting her father, that and it's a game where we get shown on screen, why would that perspective be of Gregory? Like, it's like Teen Titans and Bumblebee.
Freddy.
uh,
I mean, it could be, I don't know, Cassie's dad contacting Gregory to go, hey, go help my daughter.
I'm gonna be so for real. I think Cassie's dad is kind of screwed himself. I think he is like mixed stuck in the VR world. After Whole Point of 2, like he gave up his Vanny mask at the ending of Whole Point of 2 and the ending of the Vanny ending. I don't think he can leave. I think I'm very confident that he's stuck in there. The only way he's going to get anyone else, any contact with anyone else, I think, is if they also enter the VR world. So I think it's just Cassie. I don't think there's going to be any other communication. Maybe Vanessa. That's a thought we haven't thought of. Could be Vanessa as a protagonist. That'd be fun.
Imagine. I mean, there was one trailer that basically painted her the protagonist, right? As her trying to save Gregory.
I am not sure what you're referring to.
Hmm. I'm no, no,
Oh,
I was
oh,
sad to it. I think. It. Right?
cut content, cut content from Security Breach, you mean?
I mean, wasn't there a statue that paint and a trail? Ah, it was a poster. It was a poster that basically painted focused a lot on Vanessa before we even knew about Gregory.
Yeah, because Vanessa's important, and they wanted to save Gregory's reveal for later. It is kind of weird that they
Yeah,
showed off and emphasized Vanessa before Gregory. I will admit that, but I don't think she was ever intended to be the protagonist.
and
Uh,
fair, really.
I'm a little bit far back in the comments, so I'm gonna catch back up on this.
Yeah, should.
I do. Oh, hang on. Oh, I'm even further back than I thought. Gregory betrayed Cassie so many times to skip the pizza plex. Oh fuck yeah! Like that's it's definitely that story is 100%. This is what happened when Gregory was patient 46 and how that messed with Cassie. What's interesting is that they're friends again by security breach. There's two reasons why I can see this being the case. One, Cassie understands the mimic program enough to know that Gregory was not in control, which would be an interesting thing for her to know before the events of Ruin. Two,
Maybe she learns that during FNaF 12.
two, the evil option that no one really wants to consider. What if the interactive novels aren't canon? Look, I know the description
Oh,
says they are. The description does say that. But the description for Tales from the Pizzaplex also really felt like it was saying it was canon. So I feel like the descriptions just say whatever the hell they want to try and get people to buy them. I don't trust those damn
fair.
things. And from the contents of those books, like Secret of the Mimic separates the week before from the FNAF 1 layout. Escape the Pizzaplex fits in really strangely. Why would Into the Pit be the only Fazbear Fright story in the game's timeline? Like, and VIP is just chilling, I guess. No problems with VIP, to be honest. But it's
I mean,
really,
honestly, it doesn't matter if it's contradicted later or not. I will still think that week before is canon.
I want it to be because of the description. I'd be upset if it was a lie, but I've already kind of felt like that's happened with Tales from the Pizzaplex. Like, if set in the world of the games, we said world, not timeline, therefore technically we didn't lie to you. How do I know they're not going to pull
Yeah,
some BS like, how
it's
do,
not set on the wrong timeline, you know, the wrong game.
how do I know they're not going to pull something stupid like, oh, find out what happens before the events of the first game? Uh, Honestly, it's really hard to stretch that. Like, I think if it wasn't in the game's timeline, I think it would just be a lie. Like, I actually do struggle to find a way to stretch that in a technically way. I think if it's not in the game's timeline, the description is outright lying. So, as I said, I actually do think the interactive novels are actually in the game's timeline. I actually do think that. It just really bothers me that they don't really fit in nicely. I wish they fit in a little nicer if it was the case, and if they weren't in the game's timeline, I wish the description didn't say it the way it were. There's
I mean,
problems
this
either
is
way.
fine as a Freddy. I think fits perfectly.
It's true. It's why I think they are in the timeline. It's just I had to point out that some things about those did bother me. Um. Anyway, reading more. I do think next we'll see Gregory and Cassie. They're gonna be grown adults, meaning Cassie has been stuck down there for years. No way.
No way.
She's not gonna be
Yeah, it will take.
survive. She's not gonna be alive in the abyss for like a decade.
Yeah, honestly, it wouldn't be unrealistic for her to survive more than a week there, unless she finds some food and water.
She finds the remains of Circus Baby's entertainment and rental, and Funtime Freddy is just like, here, I'll kill you with food poisoning. But Cassie, being a dumbass child, has eaten so much horrific stuff that it just doesn't kill her, so she lives off it for years. Oh, by not saying mix, I meant that both of them are under the Pizzaplex as a TM1 could. Yeah, I know what you meant. Oh, oh wait, if that's that would be. Why is it unaccounted for though? I don't no. There's no way there's two mimics, but only one's there at the same time when they're both down there. I'd prefer a game introducing us to a smaller Fazran location instead of just being stuck in the underground. I thought that too. That's another thing as well. I
Yeah, that's
wanted
fair.
it to be that's another reason why I wanted it to be going down there, because that would mean you'd have the pizzeria or whatever location at the top, which introduces you to all the characters while they're performing and being normal, going down, and then they start hunting you down there. You're going to places you shouldn't be, they're coming after you now. And I think that creates a really cool setup for getting in and then getting back out. But I
Hmm.
don't know, I just get vibes that it's probably going to be Cassie trying to get out with the help of her father. That's my vibe.
It makes sense. I mean, the cliffhanger has to continue with Cassie trying to escape, whether we are playing as her or not.
Yeah. Either way. But then there's a weird thing, too. That's other weird. That's another thing that makes me want to switch back to Gregory, though. Like, I haven't really made up my mind here. Because if this story is going to be. This is obviously going to really emphasize the tension between Cassie and Gregory's relationship. Cassie is not going to trust Gregory. And I think that's going to be very evident and going to lead to some very drastic, like, important story decisions on Cassie's behalf. Us as the player know we can trust Gregory. So there'd be a narrative dissonance if we play as Cassie who doesn't trust Gregory. It would feel awkward. It would feel awkward in a player perspective. Whereas if we're playing as
Hmm.
Gregory, we'd be trying our hardest from the player perspective in Gregory's shoes in trying to get her to trust us. And I think that's
Yeah,
more impactful, narratively speaking. That's the more impactful way to handle that tension between those two characters. And again,
yeah. Um,
so you know
That's a
what?
really fair point.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I was in the comments. One fair point that Gregory was already down there, right?
No,
Because notice how he couldn't reach Cassie the entire game, and when he did, there's barely any signal. All until Cassie reached the underground caves. And where is Gregory exactly
um,
during the events of Ruin?
that's factually incorrect. Is my problem with that statement. Um,
Yeah, but the point is, where was Gregory during the events of Ruin? Because he's trying to contact Cassie, but Cassie is entering the place.
not in the Pizplex. So, um, Gregory, I want to add this. Gregory does reach out to Cassie multiple times before they go to the sinkhole. So, for example, the
Yeah,
communication, um, there's a moment. I think no, actually, I think both these moments in Roxy Raceway. I just realized that.
yeah, that one
Yeah, because
staff bot that says Cassie, are you there, right?
yeah, this one of them's a staff bot, and the other one is the Gregory that tries to contact Cassie from the beauty salon, because Roxanne chases after Gregory, and that's why Roxanne doesn't attack us in her first appearance because she leaves to chase after Gregory. That is the real Gregory. That's not the mimic, because mimic speaks through the walkie-talkie.
Hmm.
Also, the game files. But yeah. So Gregory does reach out to Cassie throughout the game. It's not only in the underground. It's not like he has to be down there because he contacts her above ground as well. So it's just Gregory hacks into the systems and tries to contact you wherever. Next thing. If the next installment is about the Abyss and it has to do with where Cassie left off, it would have to be the remains of MCM. Eh, it could be Circus. I mean, yeah, okay, if William did take ownership of the house and everything connected to it, then we might see the remains of Circus Babies as well. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It could be Circus Babies. My problem with Circus Babies is I think it will be Circus Babies because I have a huge bias towards Circus Babies. So it's like I don't know where the evidence leads because I know that my bias for wanting to see Circus Babies is so large that I'm not even going to be seeing the evidence for MCM there because I just want it to be Circus Babies that bad. So
I mean, that just is really unexplored, so it makes sense.
yeah, it just bothers me. Ever since Help Wanted decided to casually lore drop that Circus Babies was at least 7 floors big, I've been thinking ever since then, oh my god, you have to have a game there. You can't just say it's that big and not explore it. Come on. Especially when
Yeah,
Steel will do these massive free roam projects. Circus Baby is about as nearly as big as the Pizzaplex. Like, that's not going to be reserved for tiny little spin off games or something. That's going to be a whole thing. So,
Hmm.
in my opinion, if I had to pick a time where that whole thing sister location game would happen, this is the best opportunity. I don't think we'll get another time where it feels like it's lining up more than this. But the truth is, as much as what my bias says, the evidence from Secret of the Mimic also shows it could easily be MCM. Like, so
Yeah.
it's evidence versus bias here. But I have a bias also because of evidence. So it could go either way, I feel like, but I know where my bias lies. It's very because I've been wanting to see a modern stealable Circus Babies games. I've been wanting to see that since 2019. That's like 7 years I've been wanting to see this. So now that things are starting to line up for it, you better believe I'm coping hard for this.
2019 was 6 years ago, but yeah.
2025, 60. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Look, I'm stupid. It's midnight for me. Give me a break.
Right.
my
Wait,
maths
I'm just.
my math has devolved into Scott Cawthon's math. Um, the other thing too
Um,
is we also got to consider a possibility that it is. I mean, I think this is extremely unlikely, but it could just be a cave system, like with like
I don't
old
think so.
animatronics just
It will be.
around. I doubt it. I think we're in a location. I think we are in a proper location, to be honest, because
Yeah.
it's an elevator. Like, come on. Yeah, no, now
True.
that I think about it, that's not really a possibility. The more I think about it, it's going to be a location. And here's the other possibility too. MCM could have been converted into Circus Babies. So like, there's this evil scenario where it's both because they're the same location. Because as other people have pointed
Right.
out, the Edwin's house is extremely similar to the FNaF 4 house, to the point where it's generally, I think people kind of agree that William Afton just kind of, I guess, rebuilt it because he owns the land, so he brought it back. So that probably means if the underground of Murray's house is MCM tunnels and William Afton renovated it, it makes a lot of sense for that to have been Circus Baby. In fact, it really lines up to the point where it's almost a solid theory, to be honest.
Hmm.
So it's actually that's my no, I believe that actually. I haven't really given it much thought. I'm gonna be honest, as I said earlier, the whole Fazburger thing has kind of been messing with my head a little bit. But now that I'm really thinking about it, I actually do think that Murray's costume manor, or the underground of it that remained, I do think that probably was converted to Circus Babies. Makes sense. Uh,
Yeah. The place is there, and it makes sense. William has such a big company, it's a company place. It's already
yeah,
even in the 80s.
yeah. Um, but yeah, and if that's the case, then let's go, baby. I want my sister location game. Steelable, please. If this is going to be the Gregory, I want this to be the Gregory perspective. Show us a modern day Circus Babies, a functional one up top, with new versions of Ballora and Baby. We have never seen new iterations of these animatronics in a main game before. We've only ever seen them in FNAF AR. No, the scraps do not count because Scrap Baby is literally Circus Baby, but it's literally her. It's not it's not a different animatronic. We have not seen different animatronic iterations of Baby and Ballora in the main games. So I am itching for that. Please, Stealable. If it's not your next game and you somehow come across this stream, please, at some point, give me a Modern Babies game. I beg of you. No, that was.
But it would be really. Imagine if there's a Steel Studios employer here,
Imagine.
just casually.
You, it'd be cool, but I don't have 10 million subscribers, so.
We have like 20 people here, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Look, it is exactly what I was hoping for. I got the exact community. I've got so many comments that I'm going too distracted being able to go through them all. So I am happy. I am happy with how this stream is going, and I will read all your
Ah,
comments, even if it does take me a second to get there. I promise. um,
yeah, let's keep them.
Yeah, I
Um,
do
the week
think.
before,
Hang on. I do
uh,
want to give one more closing. I'm sorry. Sorry, commenters. See, the secret is I actually hate you all, so I'm purposefully ignoring you. uh, yeah, y'all didn't buy Lean Simulator Desperation, so now you have to get spited forever.
there.
um, but I that is my what I would like to see is Gregory seeing an above ground operational circus babies and the floor where you get at the start of the game. The above ground location is like one floor, simple, barely anything to it. The animatronics are friendly, the new iterations don't even attack you. But then because it's modern babies built on top of the old one, you go underground and the tunnels will connect that to the Pizzaplex. And that will be Gregory's way of getting to Cassie is through the circus babies, through modern circus babies to get to the modern Freddy's. And that's the other thing too.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, sorry, go.
I was just reading another comment here that
Uh,
about the week before the interactive novels.
oh yeah, I better get to that. Um, Loop 4 literally says takes place. Yeah, no, I already said that. That was probably before I already specified that I do think they're canon because of the description. It's just I'm not saying they're non-canon. I do think they are. I tried to say that. I don't know if you said those comments before I said it or not. I do think they are canon. It just annoys me that they're not as clean as I would like them to be. That's it. That is all I meant by that statement. I'm sorry for coming off like I was saying they're non-canon. That's not what I meant. The description says they are, so they are until, someone explicitly says otherwise. uh, in the Scooper ending, Mimic's costume is completely empty. Okay, yeah, the ending of Ruin. Look, ooh, this is a good one. This is a good comment to talk about. Um, there's three endings to Ruin, and let's be completely real with ourselves. All three of them are cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only
I,
one we can
yeah.
confidently say it isn't the right one is the Brazil ending because that's almost definitely Cassie's quantum immortality. Bye bye, gone, gone. So, uh,
Yeah, that one is clearly not going to be continued.
yeah. However, I think between the elevator ending and the scooper ending, you got to think about it like this. One of them is an ending that's important because it happens. One of them is an ending that's important because of what it reveals. Elevator
Hmm.
ending reveals there is something deep underground. The scooper ending reveals that there's a scooper in the under the pizza place because this is under the pizza place technically. Um, and a scooper is interesting because there is a remnant injectors, so that implies some sort of paranormal activity in a future game, or an elevator implies some sort of underground location in a future game. I think the one that's most likely to be the story continuation is the elevator, because location feels like more connected to the story than just a vague, this is a plot point. So, yeah, that and Abyss to me just screams me dropping from the elevator. Like, that, and on top of all that, the elevator ending also has a post credits cliffhanger as well. So it kind of has like, it double cliffhangers you. It's,
Oh,
yeah, because you have Roxy calling out Cassie's name. So, oh, quote Roxy. Roxy's McDead, so.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
at best, it's going to act as a costume for the mimic, anyways.
I should say this because some people don't think she's dead. That's fair. I'm not saying she's definitely dead. I just think she is. Just don't get that confused. I'm not like, I don't want people to think like I'm taking a jab at their theories or anything. That's not what this is. It's not what I'm intending to do, I promise. Um, but I do think at the very, very least, even if Roxy is still functional, at the very least, the Mimic lost its right arm. It's gonna self-repair with Roxy's. Like, I'm
Yeah, that's
confident in
good.
that. At the very least, it's going to have Roxy's arm. If it doesn't wear Roxy as a costume, if nothing else from Roxy happens, or if Roxy even still appears as a character who's still around, I think Mimic will have a right
Hmm.
arm, no matter what. I am so confident in that. Just because it's got to repair that with something. And she's the only animatronic around. So,
Makes sense. And ironically, it's a bit similar to what we did on Security Breach, upgrading Freddy through the other parts of the animatronics.
Yeah. Okay. There's also the possibility the protagonist could be Gregory or Vanessa, which that's the case. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, see, I'm so far behind in the comments that they're talking about things I eventually got to. We had entire conversation topics. I am so sorry. I promise I'm getting to your comments now. Oh, thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. You're just too good for me because you were talking and I'm not covering. Yeah, no, that's the point. There was barely any signal when he tried to reach out to her through the staff bot. He only got a clear signal when she ended up in the caves. I don't know if there's any way to tell whether the signal's better or worse. I feel like it's more so timing. Because Gregory has no way to know where Cassie is. He just is worried that she's down there and is trying to contact her all over the place. Like, when Gregory even reaches out to her, he says, you don't go to the Pizzaplex. It's like, Cassie's already down there. Gregory, you contacted her down there. I'm sorry, buddy. So, I think at the end of Ruin, M1 took over the elevator intercom and purposely dropped Cassie into whatever's left of MCM to find another copy of the Mimic schematics and wants Cassie to repair M2. You think M1 dropped the elevator? That's a good theory, actually. I like that theory. I never even considered the idea that M1 dropped the elevator. Because that has a lot of interesting implications if that's the case. Because the theories that I've been tossing between have been Gregory dropping the elevator because of what he says. Don't let it follow you, he's too scared to let the mimic out. But I don't think that's the case anymore because of the audio signal that you hear, the interference sound. I think it's pretty clear after Secret of the Mimic that it's definitely a mimic that's interfered with that audio. So then I was thinking it was M2. Because obviously that's the mimic that's there, why wouldn't I think it's M2? And the mimic did it because it doesn't want Cassie to get away. So it cuts the elevator, and then it plans to go back down to chase her again in the next game. However, if it's M1, this is so much more interesting. Because if M1 did it, as they said, this might be M1 trying to protect Cassie. Getting Cassie away from M2 because M1 knows M2 is a monster. So M1 might be wanting to use Cassie because if M1's that far underground, there's not going to be anybody. There's not going to be anyone down there to try and use for their own goals because M1 presumably can't do anything themselves at the moment, right? At least,
I like this conversation.
yeah, so if M1 saw the opportunity to finally get someone to help her, I could totally see that. You're onto something. ZRK990. That is something I never considered, and is something that's so interesting. Because the best part about that, on top of all of that, is the mimic that cuts over the intercom in Secret of the Mimic. It's M1. M2 doesn't do that. M2 is not the one that takes over the audio in Secret of the Mimic. It is M1. So that's a great theory. I might steal that theory.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah, I like that one. Dr. Dave says, if Andy Field is a voice actor in the Abyss game, which, okay, hang on, I've got a comment. Someone in my comment section said the funniest freaking response to that video. They said, yeah, like, something like, yeah, no shit, it'd be a bigger surprise if he wasn't in the game. He's in every FNaF game. It's like,
Imagine.
yeah, they're right. Even if Andy Field doesn't,
Yeah,
even if he doesn't come back as hand unit, he'll voice somebody. Like, they're right. Andy Field's like, he probably is in it. He probably didn't even need something to. Maybe our next big theory was, will Kell and Goff return for a future game? Ooh, just as mysterious.
it would be a bit funny if there's a game where he wasn't included.
Oh god. Anyway, so I'll continue reading this comment. If Andy Field is a voice actor in the Abyss game, I can see him voicing Hand Unit in the Remains of Circus Babies. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
For sure. Yeah, if this is the remains of, if we go to the remains of Circus Baby's 100% Andy Field will reprise hand unit. Like, not even a chance he doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, also I like having a human hand you name.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I haven't told this publicly. In Tales from the Pizzaplex, the guy that sends and the teams in to retrieve the mimic is named Ron. So even the game doesn't name Dispatch, but I've just been assuming it's the same guy because I mean, Dispatch sends people in to retrieve the mimic, tells them what they need to do. Same job Ron had in the books, so I've just been kind of assuming Dispatch is Ron. So if I ever say Ron, when referring to Secret of the Mimic, that's just what I've been calling Dispatch. So just as a disclaimer for if you ever wonder why I end up just saying the name Ron when you probably haven't heard that name before if you haven't read the books. um what was the comment I was even reading? Shit. Uh uh instead of help. Yeah, reprising his role as hand unit. Oh, I think that was it, yeah. Yeah, I agree with MCM saying MCM was turning the rental service. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. With the context of MCM, M1 might have been hand unit and sister location. If that's where Cassie fell, that could be M1 was the one. M1 being hand unit would be interesting. I don't know if there's enough evidence of that to convince me of anything right now, but it's definitely real good speculation. Like, if we get a reveal that hand unit the entire time has been M1, that would be so interesting.
Hmm.
Because the interesting thing
Yeah.
about hand unit and sister location, hand unit tries to get you killed. Like, all the instructions he gives you in sister location are bad instructions. Like, you have to listen to Circus
Hmm.
Baby because hand unit gets your ass beat. What if M1, like, if M1 is trying to, like, for example, harvest remnant to create a new body or something, or trying to get someone to achieve a job and then dispose of them, I could totally see M1 being hand unit to manipulate people into doing something and then getting rid of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what happens in the normal ending, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that aligns up. That lines up. That's good speculation. I like that. Do you actually think we'll get a trailer in state of play later for FNaF Abyss? No. No fucking way. I'm gonna stream it just in case. But the entire
Yeah.
stream, I'll be saying, guys, it's not gonna happen.
Maybe we get a trailer for the Elder Ones somehow.
Yeah. Look, I don't think we'll get a trailer for the Abyss project until at least Secret of the Mimic gets VR mode. At least wait until VR mode comes out. There's
Do you
no
think we'll
way.
have a small trailer for that? Maybe like nothing special, just to say, hey, VR mode is coming
Oh
on
yeah.
State of Play. I mean,
Oh, not state of play. No. No way. If Bards
maybe.
Pretties appears at state of play, it's gonna be the Abyss project for sure. It's not gonna be like VR mode, Secret of the Mimic, or DLC. They don't do ports or DLC historically for the previous games. If something like that does happen, it would be a first because historically they haven't done that. I'm not saying it can't happen, but like I am saying I really don't think it will. Oh yeah, if I ever do say something like it's not gonna happen, just assume I'm exaggerating, please. I exaggerate a lot in my statements. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Everything is my opinion at the end of the day. So, we need a FNAF game that takes place in FNAF 1 where you play as an animatronic. Boy, do I have the secret of the mimic for you. A Fredbear's game would be peak. Okay, Fredbear's. This is a complete tangent that I don't know if I want to go down in this video, but I'm gonna go down it because comments brought it up. Let's just get this over and done with. A Fredbear's game, I am certain will happen. It's like the Minecraft end update. They know, Scott knows that fans want a Fredbear's game. He obviously knows. It's why almost every game has been releasing recently has had pieces of Fredbear's. He knows that Fredbear's is one of the most hyped things he could do, and is probably the easiest way to build hype for anything in modern Five Nights at Freddy's. That being said,
Honestly,
go.
if there's ever a final game for Final Fantasy, even as unlikely as that is, it will probably be a Fredbear's game.
Yeah, I was literally about to say something like that too. It was like, Fredbear's Family Diner, the problem with making a Fredbear's game is it is also the last big hype project. There's been a few things that Five Nights at Freddy's fans have been really, really hyping up over time. One of which is the idea of adapting it to VR. One of which is the idea of having a free roam game. One of which is the film. Guess what? All of those have now happened. So the only thing left, the only massive fan request that we have left is Fredbear's. Which means if Scott ever does a Fredbear's game, one, that would be extremely hype for sure, but two, that comes with a huge risk of he will never be able to bring up hype ever again, because that's the last thing. So it's an extremely risky game in terms of how the fan base reception will be, because that's basically, I mean, as you said, it would work really well as a last game because it feels like it would be the closing, the final boom. Like, it's the last time Scott would want to hype something up. So, I think we will get it, but I don't think it's soon.
True.
And
Yeah, there's still a lot of story to tell besides that.
yeah. Yeah. I think whatever down there has something to do with Afton when he was alive. He built something deep underground to bury something, perhaps a second sister location. I've been saying this too, buddy. We're on the same wavelengths on that one. If we go to the remains of sister, so okay, let's step back for a second. William Afton dies in UCM. Follow this up. William Afton may not be Glitch Trap, or I mean, some people think he is. I mean, I don't judge, but obviously some piece of him remains, even if that piece is just something's copying him, or it's a piece of his spirit, or whatever you believe. It's clearly a representation, even if it's not literally the physical man anymore. Burn Trap, then Security Breach comes out, and it's just Glitch Trap in a physical body now. William Afton's still relevant, in a way. 4.2, freezing around Glitch Trap again, still William Afton relevance. So now that Glitch Trap is dead in 4.2, does that mean William Afton's done? I mean, William Afton's dead, and everything, the thing mimicking him was dead. Does that mean he's done from the story relevance? No. Five Nights at Freddy's is not just going to give up William Afton. And I think Secret of the Mimic has made that really clear with how juicy William's, like, role in that game was. Like, at the end of the day, most of that game was William's fault. Because William is the one who caused, like, the sabotage of MCM. And a lot of the problems in Secret of the Mimic comes down to William screwed over MCM. Like, that's just it, right? That the fall of MCM is what caused most incidents to happen. Now, to be fair, it did not cause the Mimic specifically. But the point is, William Afton's role in Secret of the Mimic, even though he wasn't even in the game, really, was huge. He was still hugely relevant. And I think that's going to be how they're going to keep approaching it. It's going to be, now that we're done with William Afton, literally, it's now going to be what he has done, the consequences of William's actions are now going to be important in future games. And I think they're going to get more and more creative on how they do that throughout each game. So if we go to Circus Babies in the next game, well, yeah, obviously William's going to be relevant. Like, come on, it's Circus Babies. Like, everything there is William's experiments. Like, that's probably as William-centric as you can possibly get without it being literally William. So, I do think that's another reason why a Circus Babies game, I feel like, is likely, because that's another really easy way to integrate William importance without him overshadowing the Mimic. So,
Yeah, we could even find reports from William in the same way we find notes around the game usually.
yeah. Anyway, next. Or the brain implant is going to allow M1 to do... Oh yeah, that's more following on from the Cassie comment from before. Some things that I've missed context for because it's spent so long talking. My only problem with the Abyss poem being about Cassie is that the Abyss poem is about someone being filled with guilt, which is not... Yeah, no. So, the Abyss poem as a whole is not going to apply perfectly because it is not made for Five Nights at Freddy's. So, that's kind of just how it is. I mean, if you think that's gonna tie, I mean, I don't blame you if you look at it and think it's something else. Like, for sure, like you have different interpretations. That's fine. I'm personally not going to look that deep into something that's not literally part of it. I mean, maybe I should be looking deeper, but maybe I'm just lazy. Media literacy just completely dead. Sorry, man. You don't get media literacy from me. You get stupid FNaF speculation. No, but you are right though. Like the guilt does not apply to Cassie's character. That is a good call out. The Abyss poem as a whole
Hmm.
does not fit that. You are correct to point that out. Uh, you are good to point that out. I don't think Gregory finally contacted Cassie. He didn't know M2 was already free. Um, would
You
Gregory?
think?
I mean, Cassie
Oh man,
says you're a bit late. This thing sounds just like you. And then Gregory leads Cassie to an elevator to get away. I think he assumes that she's in deep trouble.
yeah, in a way or the other.
Maybe that's void access to the maps when he was reaching out to her in the staff bot. But he surely did. Okay, that's more continuing from that. Hope we see the underground area. Oh boy. No, sorry,
And
buddy.
what?
You'll never see the underground in the Abyss game. It's not gonna happen. I don't even know how you got that interpretation. What, Cassie falls deep
Wait,
into the underground? What do you mean we'll see the underground?
from, wait. I'm making memory. Was the underground from one of these stories from the Tales from the Pizzaplex that was sealed off?
Hang on, repeat that?
Or I mean, I'm trying to think about the underground. You said there was a section of the Pizzaplex that had cave systems that were later blocked off, right?
Uh, oh yeah, there's definitely well, that's just part of the Pizzaplex always having stuff being built up and taken down. You see that even since Security Breach, because Roxy Raceway is kind of under construction and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, yes, in Tales that is also a thing. It's actually way more emphasized in Tales than it is in Security Breach. With stuff like Glorious Fitness and Flex being blocked off. Oh, Blue Jay says, I think Shadow Freddy will be important in the next game. Look, I don't think I've lost hope for Shadow Freddy at this point. uh, if Shadow Freddy appears, I might scream. Very, very positively. But I'm not going to bank on it. I'll let that be a surprise if it happens. Andy Field and Killing Off are basically Jack Black and Chris Pratt of the FNaF franchise.
Chris Pratt,
Hello,
Killing Off
Mario.
just needs a good voice to add.
M1 is shown using the robotic dispatcher voice, which is the same voice hand unit has in Sicily. Oh, true. I don't know why that didn't come to mind when that was said earlier. Yeah, when someone brought up earlier the idea of M1 being hand unit, I for some reason didn't even think about the fact that M1 literally mimics Ron, dispatch, hand unit, the guy in Secret of Mimic. Like, that's the voice it mimics in that game.
Yeah, also, I had forgotten that in Sister Location, there's actually like 2 or 3 voices for an unit. Yeah.
Yeah, like the angsty teen, yeah. I think we'll get a Secret of the Mimic VR trailer. I do not think so. Because they didn't look if they didn't advertise any of the ports, I don't think they'll advertise the VR one. But I'll be willing to be surprised. If they do show off Secret of the Mimic VR, I'll be really happy because I am so excited to play that in game VR. Maybe a Second Space Pizza World game. Oh dear god, am I that far back in comments?
Yeah. That's
Imagine.
why I haven't spoken much because I wanted to for you to catch up on comments.
Can you just quickly see how far back I am?
Like
um,
15 or so.
look, I'm reading every single one, even if they keep them coming as we're going. I'm reading every single one and responding
Yeah,
to every single one.
I have to leave you soon, so yeah, maybe it's better that we discuss something. We leave something that we want to discuss now, and then you read the comments.
I've pretty much already talked about most of the comments already brought up the things I really wanted to talk about, to be fair.
Yeah. Also, one last thing. That's something we discuss within each other, but I also want to see what else people would think about the possibility of a later game introducing a mimic series like M3 that's actually trying to mimic Edwin, like the Fiona M1 trying to replicate a new Edwin, a new husband, like she wanted to replicate M2 in David.
Oh yeah, I think I don't think M1. Okay, I've actually thought about this. I don't think M1. I do think if M2 was fixed, M1 would then work on an M3 for Edwin, just because they have a complete family. But I think while M2 is still broken, I think M2 would be her priority. Um.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
imagine if in the Abyss game we'll see a broken Funtime Chica or Lolbit as side enemies. I mean, if we go to Circus Babies, 100%, I would love to see some of those characters return. Uh, Agony stays, Agony cannot burn. Personally, I think, yeah, we don't know how to get rid of Agony, but Agony can die because Eleanor. No, Eleanor didn't die. Eleanor got put away and sealed away in a memory. We don't know how to defeat an Agony entity. That's kind of concerning. Hmm. I'll pick
Yeah.
up on that later.
And really, really stern in that way too.
Personally, I think Glitch Trap is just M2, so do I. No way, your voice is so cute. No, you. Circus Baby's Pizza World. The place Elizabeth died. Back again. Welcome back. Circus Baby's Pizza World. The underground area can be the prototype idea. What do you think would happen if FNaF gets rebooted? I don't think FNAF's getting rebooted anytime soon. I think that because the reboot is going back to the start of the story and reusing those characters in new ways. I think the films are Scott's reboot. If Scott had an idea to reboot it, uh, I think he's already kind of done it. I think it will at least be another good while before Scott wants to do another interpretation of his own story. But
Yeah.
I will say,
We still have to fully explore this new time time frame, I guess.
yeah, we got to at least close off the Mimic arc before we start thinking about things like that. Um,
Yeah.
I will say that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, uh, its part 7 was basically like 7, 8, 9 were kind of reboot, right? uh, essentially, anyways. And it worked
It was.
really well. It worked really well in JoJo's. I can attest to
Yeah.
that. That a good reboot is freaking amazing because then you can use the expectations set up by other character, how other characters have been adapted in this new story, and use those expectations to create plot twists that kind of wouldn't have been plot twists if you hadn't had context from the previous series. Things like how Diego was
Hmm.
handled, like
True.
seeing something like that in Five Nights at Freddy's would be fire. Like, I do think that it's a good idea. I do. I don't think it should happen anytime soon, but I do think it would be a good idea long way into the future. Because let's be real with ourselves. Most Five Nights at Freddy's fans, as painful as it is to say it, most Five Nights at Freddy's fans do not give a fuck about the modern story and characters. They don't. They care about Mike, the Afton family, William. They care about Henry. These are the characters Five Nights at Freddy's fans have gotten attached to over the years, not Vanessa
Hmm.
and Gregory and whoever Arnold is. Arnold's just a guy, but he's kind of cool. I like Arnold. But
Yeah.
most fans do not care about these new characters. Most fans do not care about the Mimic. They care about the characters that they've come to love for the past 10 years, not the past 5. So, I think the idea of doing a reboot and really allowing those early characters to shine would be amazing. And there's a whole other reason too. Scott's games had, because of the limitations, they had almost no characterization. So being able to do a reboot and have the actual characters of the characters these people have, everyone has cared about for so long, having the actual character of them be like on a pedestal and be fully shown off, that would be amazing. So 100%, I think Five Nights at Freddy's should be rebooted at some point. I think it'd be a fantastic idea. Fantastic idea, long way into the future. I think we've got a little while yet for the current things first, but I do think it's a good idea.
Hmm.
Uh, Uh, 11 years of theory, it would be for nothing. No, no, no. A good reboot pays off what you already knew. It wouldn't throw everything away. A good reboot actually relies on prior knowledge to be more effective. Can I just bring
Okay,
back
what was
Sorry?
no? What was the last point? The last point that you gave?
Oh, I just said that a good reboot would use the existing material to make itself better. It wouldn't nullify it. Because someone made a comment saying that 11 years of theorizing for nothing, all of that just for the game to be rebooted would be crazy. But if the games got rebooted well, they should be made with the knowledge that people were clinging to those old characters, and it should be using that to make themselves better. It should use prior expectations and knowledge to improve on itself. I think I explained that the second time way worse than I explained it the first time, but I think you know what I mean.
I think the point still gets across.
Yeah. They also said, can they just bring back the shadows already? I think they will. Especially like Fazbear Frights lean into like Eleanor, and that was that was kind of cool actually. I didn't like Eleanor herself, but the concept I think was great. And the concept of the fact, like as I said, we don't even know how to defeat the shadows. Those things would be dangerous. We don't know how to deal with them. I hope that whatever this Night Marion imagery is paying off ends up becoming like a. I hope it pays off in some way with these agony entities being relevant to the games. Because that I just think would be really cool. I will admit that I think most people would hate it. I think it'd be cool. But like think of like the
Yeah.
general audience suddenly seeing this crazy monster just made out of pain and suffering after like years of animatronics, getting that would be very jarring for a lot of people. But I'd like it, so I don't care.
I was feeling conflicted in a way. Yeah.
uh, I don't think the games would be rebooted yet. Yeah, yeah. I already talked about that. Duh, duh, duh. Okay, here's the next interesting comment. It might be a hot take, but what if the blob is controlled by M1? Well, then I don't. That is a hot take.
That's the point, I guess.
We should talk about the blob. Tangle, amalgamation, Freddy, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Hmm.
Um, just because I do think like that's obviously has not been explained, and it's I think it's going to be explained soon. I think more has to be done with it. Like Ruin even teased it for a split second. They're not going to have it show up for a second just to do nothing with it ever again. They clearly have a plan, or at least want to have a plan in the future. They're definitely setting something up for Tangle, Blob, whatever. I'm just going to call it the amalgamation.
Yeah. Honestly, also the amalgamation, to put it another name, is still around because it doesn't disappear like in the animated ending on Security Breach. Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows up in Ruin, so. Um, but yeah, I personally think the fact that that thing is breathing makes me think it's haunted. I don't think it's controlled by a program. The breathing gives me haunted vibes. Um, I don't know exactly. I don't have a super solid theory on it, but I definitely think I hope it will be covered in a future game, and I would love it for it to be the next game. I think this ties back to the Scooper thing I was talking about earlier. I think the Scooper ending in Ruin was there to hint that we're going to be going back into paranormal territory soon, because a Scooper is a remnant injector. It puts spirits into things. So I think by showing that there's
Hmm.
one of those, just having an ending just showing it exists, means they intend to go into that territory, in my opinion. And I think
Fair.
out of the things, if we do you want there's kind of two ways you can go with that. One is it's for setting up something in the future and it's not relevant to anything just yet. But let's just say, what if there is some hauntings in the Pizzaplex? Because I think there is. There's like three things that stick out in my mind as potentially haunted in the Pizzaplex. And I think anything, whatever the scooper is leading towards, whatever weird paranormal thing that that was teasing, will in some way explain those three hauntings in the Pizzaplex. So I'm going to say what those are now.
Hmm.
One, as I said, the amalgamation. It breathes. That's it. Like, come on. That thing should not be functional. It's an amalgamation. It's breathing. It's attacked the Mimic, so it's probably not the Mimic. Like, why would
Oh,
M1 or
true.
M2 attack the Mimic? So, I mean, I guess it only attacked the Mimic in a non-canon ending, but we literally have nothing other than that ending to go off, so I'm just going to go off it for right now. Uh, I think the
Yeah.
amalgamation itself, like physically, is FNaF AR. I'm pretty convinced about that because it has
What do
three
you
Bonnie left arms, if I recall correctly. So it's obviously mass-produced animatronics from somewhere. So there's kind of two routes here. One, the amalgamation is something bigger that I couldn't predict. Or two, if we're going with a simple temporary answer, I think one's going to be the answer. I think they're going to do something more with it. But for now, my current theory on amalgamation is that it's just the consequences of special delivery. Because in special delivery, all the animatronics in that game, yes, there is a virus in the system, so they're all corrupted by glitch trap, yes, but also when you defeat animatronics, you collect remnant. You collect remnant from remnant deposits, and more importantly, you inject remnant in your own animatronics. So these things are also haunted. So I think it could just be the consequences of FNAF AR. It's all these haunted animatronics from special delivery, or at least a bunch of them piled up, creating one amalgamation, and now it's just aggressive like any other, like, possessed thing would be. Uh,
Hmm.
the problem is that's not narratively interesting, so I don't think that is going to be the answer in the long run, but that is my temporary answer. Until we get like something a little more solid, that's what I'm going with. If I had to pull a really cool theory that I've heard out before, I really like the interpretation that Edwin haunts the amalgamation. I think that would be a really cool plot point. Uh,
Yeah, I guess now to be more complicated since we know Edwin is alive, but I guess it could have an explanation on how Edwin died to possess those the amalgamation.
oh yeah, of course. I think no matter what, especially seeing the Secret of the Mimic silhouette and like the other hints and stuff, I think Edwin's lived past Secret of the Mimic. But considering how old he'd be in present day, I'm not confident that he'd physically be doing stuff right now. I think whatever he did is probably in the past. Or whatever he does in the modern games is going to be very minimal and might just be, hey, here's information. Might just tell us stuff and make us do it. So
Hmm.
I don't think Edwin will physically is capable of doing anything significant right now. But I do think Edwin will be relevant for sure. Now, I think that Edwin, I do think he'll probably physically appear. I do think that. But if he doesn't, I think him being in the amalgamation could be really interesting. Uh, just because, I mean, there was evidence and interesting theory implications, but I've forgotten what it was, so I guess I can't sell people on it. But if there's any theorists, I want you guys in like watching to just think about that for a second. Um, I'm sorry, it is 1 a.m. for me, so like, give me a break. uh,
Ironically.
yeah, but yeah, I think the amalgamation is gonna be something bigger. I don't know what it will be, but I'm sure it will be. But yeah, there's some interesting routes it could go for sure. I spent a long time on that comment. There's probably now 50 comments and I gotta catch up on. Uh, this is an interesting chain. Maybe Eleanor will come back sometime. At the moment, she's likely just in the blob.
I imagine.
What do you think of Eleanor being the amalgamation? Tangle, amalgamation, the blob, whatever. What do you think of that? I think it's a
Hmm.
possibility, but I'm not going to think too hard on that possibility.
But something we need to explain. Is Eleanor still canon though?
Is what still canon?
Eleanor.
Eleanor has only ever appeared in Fazbear Frights. So,
Yeah.
make of that what you will. Uh, Actually, what's the deal with sister location secondary characters like Lolbit, Mini Renas, Biddy Babs, Yendo, Bonnet, and Electro Blab? What's their lore? Not relevant to this discussion, that's their lore. That sounds like a big discussion topic that I don't want to go into in this video, but they exist, and I'd love to see them again. Hey, Steelwool, cough cough, Circus Babies game, please. The next FNaF game is gonna be about Cassidy, Vanny slash Night Marion. What? I don't think it
But
should.
all at once.
That's a very funny way to phrase that. You've been saying, yes, I've been saying the blob is M1. It's burrowing through the ground to collapse the foundation, make it harder for M2 to escape. Huh.
I mean, that's an interesting interpretation.
Yeah, no, that's actually a cool explanation. Huh. Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
Dr. Dave agreed with us. The movie universe is basically the FNaF reboot.
true. And I guess, but I guess it all depends on how the movie adapts FNaF 3, because that's probably I mean, FNaF 2 can be adapted well, but FNaF 3 will need a lot of changes that, in my opinion, to work as a movie.
Yeah, we should just do what Film Theory says and make them construct an entire real-life Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. That sounds practical.
Yeah. The reason why these movies are coming out so close to each other is probably why, because
The kids.
the budget doesn't need to be that high, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, that and they need a the missing children are going to be relevant for the entire thing. They're like the main inciting incident of classic Five Nights at Freddy's story. So those they have to pump these films out fast enough so that the kids don't noticeably age. So, alright, okay, I don't want to linger on the film too much though, because that's an entirely different topic. More
Yeah,
people talking about
that's another.
yep, more people talking about the reboots, so I don't really want to talk about that. Yep, that's true. The reason I don't give a fuck about modern FNAF is because of how little lore we get, and the fact we wait so long just to get only more questions. And I look, the problem with modern FNAF is security breach is the baseline, and security breach was screwed over something severe, so it's not a very good foundation. I think that's the main problem with it, is that no matter how good they write it, at the end of the day, security breaches their foundation, which kind of stings. However,
Yeah, there's there.
I would disagree that we haven't gotten answers though, because again, as I said like way earlier in the stream, um, I looked at what early security breach theories were. We have come a long way since then. There has definitely
Yeah,
been some answers that have made it so much more tolerable.
I guess the Civil Studio and other sources knowing what the story was about helps a lot.
Yeah. See, funnily, if you decide to you want someone to make a game for you, and then you don't tell them the story of that game, funnily enough, that game doesn't have the story you planned. I'm so glad Scott figured that one out. Good job, Scott. Look, I actually really respect it because Scott actually owned up to it. Like, imagine seeing how much hate that game got for its story and then actually owning up to it. Like, there's a point where I kind of respect that. Because I do think a lot of people were blaming Steelwool for the story, which is fair, because without any, like, context, you'd assume the only thing it changed was Steelwool now working on it, which is technically is what changed, but it's as actually Scott's communication with them that was the issue rather than themselves. Kind of. See, Steelwool probably could have worked with the pieces they had a little bit better, but like, come on, if even without Scott like playing Find My Seven Secrets with them, like they knew that Gregory had this missing children's plot was going on in the pizza place. They knew about the missing children's plot. They put it in the game. Why would you have that only as a thing mentioned at the very, very end in a passing mention? Like, that's not good execution of that idea. And I feel like the execution of the ideas kinda leans a little on Steelwool. So, we blame Scott for the story not going in the direction it was supposed to, but it probably, even without the correct direction, it probably also could have been better, to be honest. I think Security Breach was just a colossal fumble on all story departments. Uh,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
sidetrack and a half.
I think we, at least for at this point, we have done enough um, damage control. I think we
Yeah,
can get after Secret of the Mimic, it was the last part. Now we can finally move forward from the Security Breach disaster.
yeah. Alright, this little person also says, I do want a Stitch Race Stingers game, and I want it to be a big game where Illinois Stitch Race rivalry is explored well. I think it will happen. I think with the Mega Cat Studios game adaptations that we will get a Stitch Race Stingers game eventually, but it'll probably be the last Fazbear Frights game, so it's probably a very long time away. But I'll be here for it.
Hmm.
That's a thing about Fiona the Witch and Mother. Okay, that's just about the. Oh, that's the whole point of two story. Yeah, yeah. There is some interesting interpretations in the whole point of two story. How I'm so far back. I'm sorry, guys. You guys are too awesome. I'm so sorry for being so far back.
No problem. And also, I think it should be going, honestly.
Yep,
Uh,
that's fine. Thanks
yeah,
for coming on.
yeah, no problem. So basically, at 11 p.m., we'll also stream, right?
Yeah, I'll do a second stream for State of Play. Yeah.
Hmm, fair enough.
Uh, you
Yeah,
can be a part of that if you're
I just
awake.
say bye, dude.
Yep. Bye. Okay. So now it is just us. So I hopefully I'll be able to catch us up all up a little quicker. So I hope the Mimic will become some sort of Eleanor of the game universe. He's like 50 years old and he murdered at least 20 people according to the books, so he should be filled. Yeah, I brought up Agony before. There's totally some Agony stuff going on, especially with like the Nightmare on imagery. That's got me real suspicious. Theory, the Tangle is the thing that trapped Eleanor in the Mimic. Okay, look guys, I'm gonna be so for real. I don't like Eleanor. So, like, unless you've got the most banger theories imaginable, I am just gonna skip the Elena comments at this point. Yeah, I'm too far back. I've got Tangle is either ended or new victims. Guys, you guys have got some insane theories. Not gonna lie. Actually, no, Tangle being ended isn't that insane. That's actually kind of a logical conclusion to come to. But yeah, not to mention the children cries you hear when you wear the AR mask in Ruin. Oh, no, I didn't mention the other possessed things. Okay, I forgot to mention it before. I mentioned the amalgamation as one of the possessed things in the Pizzaplex. I forgot to mention the other two. The other two are the caution bots. So the caution bots and the Glamrock Bonnie mystery. So everyone, when we think of the mystery of who killed Glamrock Bonnie, most people think, oh, it's Monty, that's who killed him. No, that is not the real mystery, I don't think. The real mystery is what's the deal with Bonnie's connection to the caution bots, the wet floor bots, the pats, whatever you want to call them. I think that is so much more of an interesting mystery than just who killed him. Because I want to know what is up with that. Like, those caution bots, their counter for deactivating them is souls. You go near them, you hear children screaming. Like, that has implications. They psychically or paranormally connected to Bonnie. You turn them all off and Bonnie deactivates. What the hell's the deal with that? Are the caution bots possessed, or is it Bonnie who's possessed? Are they all possessed? How are they possessed? Why are they possessed? I don't know, but there's some paranormal stuff going on there. I'm not crazy. And the third thing I think is paranormal is the arcade conspiracy. So you have the Princess Quest, which speaks for itself. Like the princess is weird and everyone knows Princess Quest. But you also have Chica's Feeding Frenzy, which is said to run without power. And you also have Balloon World, which is said and shown to teleport. So there's some weird paranormal stuff with the arcade conspiracy. The arcade conspiracy. And I don't know what to make of it. I have been so confused on Princess Quest for a while. I want more on that. So I really hope that the arcade conspiracy, with how important it is too, like it's the canon ending of Security Breach. It shows up again in Whole Pointed 2. Like it's important. It's not a side thing. It's very important. So I would love an explanation. So I hope that when some paranormal stuff gets covered, which I think will happen because it's a scuba ending in Ruin, I hope that at least one of those three things get covered. Explaining the amalgamation, explaining the arcade conspiracy, explaining the mystery of Grimrock Bonnie. One of the three, at least, I hope. I'd love if all three. Um, the Blob M1 wouldn't necessarily be attacking M2, just trying to prevent it from escaping the sinkhole. True, you're right. I didn't think about that. Yo, hope I'm not too late, just woke up. You're all good. I'm significantly more later than you are because I'm only now reaching your comment. Spellcaster, sorry for that. I promise I am reading all comments, it's just I spend so long on some of these comments that I have so much to say that it just takes a while, okay? It takes a while to catch up. If we say that every location is, and we include UCN, with UCN being in the area, I need to also... I mean, UCN isn't a physical place, if that's what you mean. It's not a physical place. Eleanor did technically appear in the Into the Pit game, and I believe it's an Easter egg too. I meant in like the main games. My bad, it didn't specify. Something I've noticed about Ruin Mimic is that some of its parts are actually the same parts that the Proto FNaF 1 gang from SOTM has. Oh yeah, no, I think Ruin Mimic is a mishmash of a few things. Because I'm pretty sure Burn Trap's an asset flip for something. I think it has Lightmare Chica's foot or something like that I heard. I haven't specifically analysed the model myself to see what they all are. But you're probably right, there probably is some asset flipping there. FNAF 12, I'm a kind of lose to count after UCN. Sometimes FNAF lore may have no connection to deceptive logic, but still listen to it. Yeah, I get it. FNAF has gotten really confusing. I've heard a few things in the community, a bit of a debate here about FNAF isn't actually that confusing, theorists just make it more confusing. I disagree. Five Freddy's is inherently a confusing franchise. It just doesn't help when you have 50 people telling you different things about it. So, yeah, so we are up to FNAF 12. I will actually grab this out, because some people I have seen get a little slight debates on, like, whether it's specifically FNAF 12 or not. But, yeah, we know for a fact security breach is FNAF 9. We know that because it's called that in the executable. Whereas, like, so Help Wanted 2 is logically 10, and then Secret of the Mick would be 11, so this is 12. Some people consider Into the Pit numbered as well, but Into the Pit's I think is a spin-off, because it's adapting Fazbear Frights. So it's going to be like its own little series separate from the main story. I'm not saying it's canon or not canon, that's a different topic, but it's separate. It's a separate story to the one that's going on now. So it's objectively a spin-off. I don't consider that a numbered installment. But I mean, I do know a lot of people do count that one, but I don't. So I think the next one is 12. Secret of the Mix shows F10 and 4 being the Witch Lord. Yeah, that's right, because of Moon.exe. Moon.exe is such an interesting topic. There's a lot to gather from Moon.exe. I actually have one other thing I want to talk about that actually ties heavily into Moon.exe, so I actually have a big topic I want to go on to after I finish catching up, because I have finally almost caught up to comments. It's not confirmed it's not a physical place. Well, I mean, why would it be? Because it's FNAF 1. It's FNAF 1, but, like, stuff doesn't make sense. Like, it's FNAF 1, but Funtime Foxy's on the bathrooms. And there's a prize counter where the show stage should be. And it has references to, like, all of the games scattered across the walls. And it also exists purely in William's mind, so... I hope you'll see the Spider Mimic in the games one day, maybe even in Abyss. I was actually... See, Secret of the Mimic, I'm really happy they had the random costume for Secret of the Mimic, but I'm gonna be so honest, I was a little disappointed that they didn't explore more interesting gameplay mechanics in terms of how they handled that. Because you have the main threats, like Jackie, Big Top, Nurse Dolly, they all have their unique mechanics for sure, but I would have preferred at least a few subtle differences between the random mascots. I think that would have meant a lot to me, I think, if they went to the extra level of detail. But they kind of didn't, they just kind of were the same thing, so I kind of wish they did more of that. But yeah, the Spider Mimic from Tales is awesome. Yeah, sometimes FNaF lore or theory, if you put together like solving a math question or 2,000 of puzzle or Lego pieces, yeah. Fast Freddy's lore, here's the thing. This is something a lot of people kind of get wrong about approaching Five Nights at Freddy's lore. Um, I will explain it in 1 second. I just really need a drink of water because I haven't drunk a single piece of water for the last 2 hours and I'm thirsty. I am now hydrated. Congratulations. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. So there's a mistake that people have when approaching Five Nights at Freddy's lore. A lot of people confuse the lore for the story. The story of these games are the isolated story within the games themselves. The lore is not the main story. It's the fragments of something bigger in the background of what we play through. We do not know what is going on behind the scenes in these games. We don't. We are making educated guesses on what is going on in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's. And sometimes what we thought was going on is not actually what's going on. And a lot of people like to scream retcon at that. But like, most of the time it's not established information. The things that we're trying to work out isn't to solve Five Nights at Freddy's or anything. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. The purpose of theorizing, I think anyway, is the more you learn about the implications of the game, the more satisfying the game is. And the other thing is that the bigger story, I mean, yeah, that's what it is, right? We don't know what it is. And we shouldn't get too attached to things that we don't really know what it is. Like, at the end of the day, we're making, as I've already said this, sorry, I'm tired, but a lot of people like to think that just because we have information pointing in a direction means that we knew what it was. But we don't know most of the lore. We don't. We have things pointing in some directions to show there is something bigger, and that's the purpose of it. It's not to have a fleshed out thing in the back, it's just to show that it takes place in a bigger world, and it is a lot of fun to take a jab at what that is. But it shouldn't be something that we take as this is what's going on, this is the story, because it's kind of not. It's just what's going on in the background. It's just, yeah. No. Oh, Midnight Motorist. Hell no. I am not talking about that. So what is the new Ticket of Fun book? I know it confirmed Charlie died at Freddy's, which I always knew, but I don't know. I don't have it. So, Charlie dying at Freddy's is the only thing that has been spoiled for me, but I live in Australia, so I get basically every book and thing like this a month late. So I don't get this till next month. So I have no idea what Ticket to Fun is, because I made sure to, on all my social media sites, mute every single word I possibly found relating to it. So, I don't know. What characters are even going to be a threat in Into the Abyss? Ooh, that's a good topic. So, okay, I'm going to go back to a theory I said before, and I'm just going to assume it's correct. It's not going to be correct. I want to make this very, very clear. Five Nights at Freddy's is very hard to predict, especially when it comes to big games. Most of the information will just happen when the game comes out. So, this is not what the game's going to be, but just for sake of conversation, let's assume it is. That my theory on it being about Gregory going into circus babies, modern day circus babies, and then taking a route down to save Cassie. Because the Pizzaplex is destroyed and it's less practical to take that path, so he takes a circus baby's path instead. They're both kicked underground, so he tries to help Cassie out. Cassie does not trust Gregory, so there becomes a bit of a conflict there, and your goal as Gregory is to get Cassie to trust you again and then leave safely. That is what I've made up in my head. Let's assume that's correct. What threats would this game entail? Well, there's two types of threats that this would entail. One, the Circus Babies animatronics, the ones that are actually at Circus Babies Pizza World, or whatever location this might be, probably, I don't know, something completely different with a character. Hopefully, I would like that anyway. In which case, I'd love to see Circus Baby on Ballora. That's just a given, I think. if this is a Circus Babies game, which it probably isn't, but again, just for sake of conversation, I'd love to see a new version, a new iteration, a completely new animatronic of Circus Baby and Ballora. Probably a Freddy as well, because it is a Five Nights at Freddy's game. Freddy's gotta be in it. Um, but I don't know about a Foxy, because after Secret of the Mimic, we had a whole pirate crew for Foxy. So it seems like Foxy was just one of the pirate crew. And then in Security Breach, they swapped Foxy out with Roxy. So I actually think if in a future game, the next game that should have Foxy, it'll swap him out with another member of the pirate crew. So maybe it will replace them with Borson, for example. In addition to that, I think at least one of the MCM mascots will come back. There's so many that I don't think all of them will, but I think at least one of the MCM mascots will return as one of the mascots. Because I mean, Montgomery Gator appeared in the Pizzaplex, so maybe they pull from somewhere else for the Circus Babies location. So let's just, hey, the colors match up, so let's just say Sharpay. New version of Sharpay or something, throw them in there as well. So those 5, I would say, would be the Circus Babies threats that are there from the start of the game. However, then you go underground. You go underground to the depths of William Afton's old experiments. And you start seeing more messed up things. You start seeing maybe more organic looking animatronics, like the twisted ones or something, made from weird material or something that you wouldn't really want to think about. Just some messed up experiments from William Afton underground would be really cool and something I'd love to see. And then of course, the obvious, the Mimic. M2 is going to be a threat. It's going to be a threat. I'm so sure about that. I don't think there's any chance it isn't. And there is one more, but I'll save that one more thing I'm going to talk about to a little bit later. Because there is one other big thing I wanted to cover, but it's a bit of a big scale thing, so it would be too big of a tangent right this second. Moon.exe is related to Midnight Murderous because its theme is the same way. It's connected to what's going on. Cassie's own over sisters. I didn't think about Moon.exe, but it connected to Midnight Murderous. That's a good call out. Yeah. I gotta think about that for a bit. I'm not gonna do that right this second, but I'll definitely be thinking about that later. Because you're right, there are some I can already instantly think of a couple of connections. Yeah. I used to be obsessed with FNaF lore years ago. I used to watch MatPat and some small FNaF-based channels, but abandoned it because it was so hard, and I realized it's just fiction, just let it be. Yeah. Fun fact, I only got into the theorizing space because I used to watch MatPat as well. I didn't used to care for the FNaF story. Fun fact, I'm a player of the games. I care about these games because I think the games are fun. I am not here because I care about the story all that much. Admittedly, the story could take a massive downward turn, and as long as the games are still fun to play, I just don't care. As long as the games are fun to play, I'm gonna still be here. So yeah. For me, I used to watch MatPat, and maybe sometimes I came to my own theories while playing a game that differed from MatPat's, but for the most part, I didn't used to theorize very much until Security Breach. I think the game theory Security Breach video made me really disappointed, so I had to ask a question to myself. Was I disappointed in this video because the theorists are nuts, or did the game have a bad story? So I then went back, watched plenty of theorist channels, went all the way back to the start, tried to cover as many theories from many different channels on every single game, every book, everything. I tried to cover as much as I possibly could. It took me like a solid year, but I tried to catch up on every theory that I thought was relevant. It was good to know about. Tried to cover every mystery, and I tried to make sure that I was aware of pretty much everything that I had been ignoring for the past forever. All so that I could try and figure out whether the story was on game theory or Security Breach. It was on Security Breach. Security Breach had a fumbled story, but it took me a long time to try and catch up to the story to solve that question. But now that I have done that catch up, I am now also quite deep into the story. I am quite deep into it now, I think. and I enjoy theorizing. Again, I still think the big thing I care about is the gameplay more than the story, but I do enjoy theorizing the franchise quite a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this stream if I didn't, right? So, do, 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 do. Roxy is pretty much a Foxy. Yeah, Roxy is Foxy's replacement, but in Secret of the Mimic, they coexisted. They were both part of this, the pirate crew, so I think there'd be a different replacement in the next game. Imagine if we were able to visit the FNaF 4 observatories. This is the location facility in the Abyss game. Like, imagine randomly walking into the FNaF 4 bedroom. That would be insane. And if we go to the Circus Babies, I totally see it happening. I think it's a nice concept. Yeah, thanks. Do we really think that M2 is the villain of the new saga, a soulless robot with no consciousness? I like M2, but I don't find it to be a saga villain. It's barely a villain. More of an antagonist that doesn't fit the villain criteria. Aha! So you know how, like, this entirety of these 2 hours, I've been saying, hey, there's one really big thing I want to talk about that I'm going to save for later, and I keep saying there's just one big thing, one really big thing. That is the one big thing. No, I do not think M2 is the main villain. But I will explain myself later because I want to catch up on comments because, yeah, as you would know, that is a very big topic. So I'm going to catch up on some comments first, and I promise I'll dive into that because that is what I've been trying to set up for this entire stream. Idea, since it says Abyss and ban 9. But look, I don't even need to read the rest of it. I just know your theory is a banger, and I agree. William is absolute evil. He transformed his daughter into an ultimate nightmare monster and trapped her in a basement forever. She's still trapped until now. She can project herself into dreams. William is evil, yes. Yes, I think M2 is the main antagonist with its goal to become its own person, rather than M1 wants it to be. I'll cover that soon. F10N4 is the sun witch. Can you get... Yeah, that's more of that. Look, I'm going to be... Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff with Moon.exe. I have going to be so honest. I have not fully processed Moon.exe yet. It's a lot to take in, but it is really interesting. There's a lot of cool connections you can make. I have a theory. All the messed up things that happen in FNaF were just in William's head. Okay. I've caught up on comments. Now it's time for me to explain why I don't think M2 is the main antagonist. I'm gonna need... Stop it, guys. I'm taking away fan privileges for this one. This is too serious for the fan. I'm so sorry. I have not been talking. My audio was not on that entire time. I am so sorry. Hang on, let me just copy and paste my audio. I was actually talking that entire time. Okay, sorry for that. I was supposed to be talking. Is M2 really my villain? Mod story, let's call them mod story mimic arc. M2 is first introduced as Security Breach, or well, Ruin. But you know, Ruin is DLC for Security Breach. And in the next major game, Help 102 doesn't count, it's filler. M2 is fleshed out in Secret of the Mimic. Now, M2 is not a compelling character, as what was said before. M2 was fully fleshed out in Secret of the Mimic, and it pretty much has no motivations. It's pretty much just, it kills things in sight. And the only real thing to M2 is that, I mean, every time, it's never been the instigator. M2's always been reacting to the situation it's been in. Because, like, think of it, I mean, let's actually go back to, let's get Glitch Trap, because I think Glitch Trap is M2. The Glitch Trap introduced in Help Wanted. Glitch Trap is fleshed out in Security Breach, because Security Breach is all about Glitch Trap taking control over everything and causing a massive mess. If we really want to be cool about this, let's also put special delivery in here, but, I mean, we don't. Let's not talk about it. I take that back. Let's not talk about it. Now, Glitch Trap was then finally killed off in Help Wanted 2. Notice how M2 was revealed right before Glitch Trap was killed off. This is interesting. So now, let's move forward. M2 is fleshed out in Secret of the Mimic. But remember the biggest plot twist of Secret of the Mimic? There is actually 2 mimics. There is an M1. Now, unlike M1, I mean, unlike M2, M1 is a real character. M1 has goals, motivations, a character. It doesn't just kill things on sight, but it is willing to kill. M1 tries to have us killed in research and development. Did I lose connection? Area Studio disconnected. Okay. That scared me. Guys, let me know if I dropped out there. Anyway, so M1 is introduced in Secret of the Mimic, and, what was I gonna say? Right, the big reveal is there's 2 mimics. And M1's an actual character, and she's willing to kill for her goals. And I know this is huge theory territory, but I do believe the Moon.exe theory that Sun killing the baby owl, Sun represents M1, baby owl represents David. I mean, there's a pretty obvious, I think. Sun killing the baby owl, I think does mean that M1 killed David so that she could have a son of her own, M2, rather than Fiona's son. So I do think that M1 killed David. However, that is super speculative, so let's just ignore that for now. M1 at the very least tries to have Arnold killed in research and development. At the very least. Now, M2 in Secret of the Mimic is fleshed out to not be all that interesting. Let's be real with ourselves. I don't think M2 is interesting enough to have many more games. I think this is my prediction territory this time. I'm going to separate this with a prediction mark. I think M2 is going to be killed off in the Abyss project, because I don't think M2 is interesting enough to be a main villain. I think he's just a monster, kills things in sight. Now, I do think it'll be really leaned into an Abyss. I think M2 will be even more than it was in Secret of the Mimic, mainly because think about what M2 does to kill people. It kills people and stuffs them into costumes. Now with MCM, that might have been okie dokie, because those costumes are just normal costumes. That's not that important. But what happens when you stuff an M2? What happens if M2 stuffed someone into a costume with animatronic devices? You get a Williams situation. I think in Abyss, you'll not only see M2, but the consequences of M2 killing people the way it does. I think we'll see victims of M2 being haunted. I mean, yeah, I maybe I phrase that a little bit wonkily, but I think sorry, guys, it's freaking 1:30 a.m. Forgive me when I stutter a bit. But I think the victims of M2 are going to be haunting animatronics that they've been stuffed into. However, I think that entire story and climax of M2 will be settled here. I think once we deal with all of those characters, we'll deal with them in this game. Now think about it for a second. M1's entire character motivation is all about having M2, is all about fixing M2, having her own son, and she's willing to kill for that goal. Do we really think M1 is just going to be fine with us killing M2. Killing her son. No. M1's going to be the main villain. I think that's what's going to happen. I think after we kill M2, M1 is going to be pissed and become the new villain. I mean, why would a game, Secret of the Mimic, establish that the Mimic we've been chasing this entire time has been just a failed copy of another, and then establish that original as also violent but also thoughtful? M1 is main villain potential. She is. I think M1 is has so much more potential as villain than M2. I really do think so. And then I think future games will use M1, and this would be the other Mimic arcs. And I think the actual main villain will be them. And if you think about it, it'll all date back to them too. If anyone has seen Naruto, I know it's going to be a really weird comparison, but the first thing that came to mind, you have, like, the Akatsuki leader Pain as like the first main villain that's being built up, right? I guess like Shippuden, I mean. And then you get revealed that behind Pain, you actually had Madara Uchiha as the main villain. And then surprise, that's not Madara Uchiha, now you have the real Madara Uchiha. And then surprise, it was actually Kaguya Otsutsuki, and each one's kind of like building off the last in a stepping stone kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the one at the end of the line was behind everything even the previous ones did. Kaguya was indirectly controlling and manipulating Madara, who manipulated Obito, who manipulated Pain. It's this whole chain connection that just kept stepping up. I think this is similar to what the Mimic arc is doing. We have just the offshoot program of M2. The origin of that program with M2 itself. Then M2 itself was a copy, now we have the original Mimic, M1. It all starts with M1. And not only do I think M1's going to be the main villain, I think I know how each one's going to be killed off. I'm going to get even more specific. I think M2 going to die by its head getting crushed. One is going to die by at full fist. I'm not going to say a specific thing. You probably know from me just saying that why I think this. M2 is supposed to be a copy of David. Now, there's a lot of parallels with David and certain other characters that have not paid off, and I do not think it's because they're all robots. Because David, the Crying Child, and Gregory all parallel each other, and I don't think it's because they're one robot. I think it's a narrative parallel, and if it is a narrative parallel, then that parallel will have to pay off. Somehow, these character connections are going to have to connect somewhere. So, let's expand that. A parallel of the Crying Child kills a failed parallel of the Crying Child the same way the Crying Child dies. Boom. Narrative parallels paying off in the Mimic's defeat. As for M1, a lot more obvious. I think most people agree that Fall Fest is where it all started. It's where Fiona died, and Fiona's death is what caused the Mimic to be created in the first place. So it just makes narrative sense to end it where it began. Especially considering M1's a copy of Fiona. I don't have a specific death in mind, but I'm so certain that this entire Mimic arc is going to end at Fall Fest. I think the last game will be a large open-scale Fall Fest game that's outside, and maybe has like buildings connected to it that we can go between. No, that's really far ahead, and I just went a lot of crack theories, but I do think this is the direction of this next story arc. Oh, and of course, I'm pretty sure I did see someone else mention it. I'm going to have to say it too. Yes, Fazbear Entertainment is clearly another villain they're setting up. I don't know if it's this story arc though. I have a feeling if Fazbear Entertainment's going to go somewhere, I feel like they're obviously setting up Fazbear Entertainment to be a villain at some point in the future. I don't think it'd be like part of the Mimic arc specifically. I think Fazbear Entertainment might be what comes after even that. Either that, or somehow this Mimic arc is going to connect a lot more to Fazbear Entertainment than I could predict right now. And somehow this death is also going to impact Fazbear Entertainment. I know there is a theory that the Mimic is actually controlling Fazbear Entertainment behind the scenes. If that's the case, then this actually works out really nicely as well. However, I do think it's more likely that Fazbear Entertainment is going to be a separate threat. Anyways, that's my massive prediction I've been building up to this entire time. What do you guys think? You think I'm on crack? I think I'm on crack. How far back do I need to go? And what is villain? Yeah, Glitch Stinger, you were onto it. Yeah, I think I saw you say that before I even said it. Yeah, you were onto it. You knew exactly what I was saying. Yep, Memto's still a villain. He's just, yeah, he's a villain, alright. It's not a super one. I never, I never understood why FNaF villains are obsessed with stuffing the remains of their victims in animatronic suit. Bro, it's like a fetish, at least not as bad as a vor fetish. Vor fetish isn't that bad, to be fair. I've seen worse. But anyway, I think there is some reasons, individual reasons. So William Afton was obviously because he needed a place to hide the bodies, and Bro ran Fazbear Entertainment, so it's probably the first thing he thought of. The Mimic was because he plays with David, and now I think about it, this isn't said in the games at all. Huh. Okay, in Tales from the Pizzaplex the Mimic, David and the Mimic play using costumes. So it's just something it does. So the reason why Mimic stuffs people into costumes is because it's used to seeing people put into costumes because David goes in costumes and stuff. So they have, those connections are not direct, it's the way Five Nights at Freddy's wants to tie deaths to mascot costumes so it can create the hauntings or whatever. So they have to create unique reasons for why these characters are associated with creating animatronic threats. And I think that's what's going on there. I don't think it's like, that's all I think it is. It's just Five Nights at Freddy's involves them all the time. So you think that the Princess Quest 4 ending is trying to show that M2 will be killed? Well, no. The Princess Quest 4 ending was just killing off Glitch Trap specifically. Their program. Is M1 the real Fiona? No. Definitely not. Definitely not. No, no, no. Just look at her relationship with Edwin. Fiona has, like, almost this failing marriage vibe when talking to Edwin. Like, they're not always on the same wavelength. Whereas M1's, like, disturbingly more obedient. So, I mean, until she starts killing people, but, like, that's besides the point. I definitely do not think M1 is Fiona, and I think that is very important, that there is a distinction drawn between the fake and real Fiona. Yeah, that too. Mannerisms are different too. Edwin and Ed, yeah, good call-outs, yep. I really hope they go to more to the Souls arc than the Mimic. Maybe mix it into the Mimic. Oh, 100%. They're going to mix spirits of the Mimic. Like, as I've said before, the Scooper ending, in my opinion, they've shown that there's a Scooper under the pizza place, and Scoopers are remnant injectors. So, I don't, sorry. Again, like 1:40 a.m. The Scooper is only there. I don't think there's a narrative reason for it being in the pizza place specifically. I don't think we're going to have this whole other thing in the pizza place that shows like that having much to do with the Scooper. I think the point of the Scooper ending is to tease that the paranormal stuff is coming back and coming back soon. Which is precisely why I'm hoping those 3 points I mentioned earlier of the Glamrock Bonnie, Caution Bot connections, the amalgamation, the arcade conspiracy, especially the arcade conspiracy. Really hoping that those get paid off in the next game, because I think those have big paranormal vibes and will probably tie into that Scooper ending teaser. In addition to that, as I said just then too, I do think the Mimic, while it stuffed things in costumes back in MCM, in modern day or in a Circus Babies location, if that, you know, made up thing from me earlier was true, if it stuffs them in actual animatronics, that's going to cause just as much of an issue as William, right? It's creating haunted animatronics, so I think that will happen as well. I definitely think they're going to go into paranormal territory again because they know that fans, Scott knows that fans weren't happy with the more sci-fi shift. So I think he knows to bring it back, and also especially even in like Secret of the Mimic itself, at least had like the White Tiger. So they definitely know what the fans want, and I think they will lean into it. If there's absolutely anything we can trust in Five Nights at Freddy's, it's they take criticism to heart. Sometimes too much. Alright. Like it says, good prediction. Nice. I have an idea that Fuzzo will try to stop Gregory and Cassie from killing M2, and the founder gets killed by M1, and the founder possesses M1 as the final boss of FNaF. Gonna be for real, I don't know if I want to see the Mimic being directly possessed. Alright guys, you're getting back to the fan, by the way. I know you guys were really excited to see my text document, but you're getting fanned. The craziest thing is when Mimic put his victims' heads and limbs into the freezer like David did with food. That was awesome. The Tales from the Pizzaplex is great. That's the other thing. I forgot to even mention that. If you want more evidence that M1 is going to be the main villain of Five Nights at Freddy's, Tales from the Pizzaplex is basically teasing this next story arc, and it's just way more condensed and different timeline, but in Tales from the Pizzaplex, it is M1 who is the main villain. M1 takes the role of the Mimic main villain in Tales. So that's another thing that could lead on to what I was saying. M1 might end up usurping M2 as the main villain. M2 isn't the main villain of FNaF. The main villain is FNaF is Fanny Cassidy Princess Nightmare. Jesus. There's a lot of words, man. That's a lot of scary buzzwords. Change my avatar shard. Yep. The supernatural stuff's already come up. Yep. TigerRockMe.exe. Any war. Jesus. I mean, like, what kind of AI says stuff like, you can't let them know about me? Tell Edwin I still. I mean, FNaF AI, I guess. Hello, Frodo's World. Welcome back again. Actually called Mimicron. You're not going to believe what the M in M1 stands for. You ain't gonna believe it, man. It might even stand for mimic. Oh, okay, so that was actually my big reveal. Was this? Actually, you know what? I'm putting this in a separate thing. Guys, genius technology. You can have Notepad and the fan. Isn't this innovative? You proud of me? This was my big reveal that I was kind of setting up for. My big reveal prediction. So I don't think I have much left. I think after nearly 3 hours, I've got most of my theories out there. I talked about the animatronics, I talked about my Circus Baby story, I talked about my crack theory about the Mimic not actually being the main villain. I talked about the endings to the future. Yeah, I think that's my thoughts, and now it's just your thoughts. Is there anything else any of y'all want to add? Because I'm sure there is. Although just keep in mind that there's a delay between when I say things and when you say things, so if it looks like I have this awkward silence, if there's this awkward silence between when I ask a question and when I answer, sorry, when you ask a question and I answer, it's because it takes a minute, you know, for my video to get to you and then your comment to get to me. Are you currently developing the next FNaF game and not telling us? I'm developing something. I'm not gonna say it's Five Nights at Freddy's, but I am a game developer. if you are people who have followed the channel for a while, which pretty much no one is because most people think in this chat came from the recent videos, from the what's it, the Abyss project. I've been working like this meme game that's actually out now. It's been out for a while. I'm working on an update for it, and I'm working on an entirely new game as well. But no, neither of which are Five Nights at Freddy's, unfortunately. I'd love to though. I'd love to work on Five Nights at Freddy's eventually. Wait, so in the Scooper ending, Mimic got injected with Remnant, and that's how he'll become some sort of Eleanor, but with whose Remnant? No, 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 you're not on crack. You're onto something. Whose Remnant is in that Scooper? That is a genuine good question. Is there any? Because I think the implication of the Scooper ender is that the Mimic died, which might just mean there is no Remnant in the Scooper, and it's just, it kills the Mimic. Bye-bye. I that's probably all it is, because as I said, I don't think that literally that singular scooper is important. I think it's just the idea of the scooper and what the implications of there being a scooper is. The implications being that there's more paranormal stuff coming. I think that's the important part of that ending. And maybe the scooper ties into some stuff in the Pizzaplex, maybe. But I don't think that literal, the actual scooper in Ruin. Why am I talking about it as if I can't walk there? Hey guys, fun fact, this isn't an image. I've had Ruin open the entire time. With a debug menu. Let's see the scooper, guys, because we've been talking about it. Oh shit, it's not loaded in. Bro. I forgot the scooper doesn't load in until you hit the ending. Yeah, okay, we'll just sit in the room then. You guys okay with a change of scenery? Yeah, here we go. Change of scenery. This glass sucks. Let's put the change of scenery over here. In the room. We'll just chill in this room for a bit. The idea, Gregory's mother. I'd love to get in more lore on Gregory's parents. I'd love to. I know the general consensus is that both L22 endings happen, but I don't think that's true. Both? All three happen, baby. The Mimic starts off by lore dumping about Jackie to Cassie's father, and then Ruin happens, and then Cassie's father gives up his freedom to kill Glitchtrap once and for all. I mean, the scooper is still a giant claw at the end of the day. Yeah. Like, if there's no remnant in that thing to inject into the Mimic, it would just rip the thing out. Also, I think another thing that's really important to note is that 70s Mimic is not Ruined Mimic. I mean, it is. They're both M2, but physically, Ruined Mimic has replaced so many parts that it's probably not as indestructible anymore. At least you wouldn't think it would be. Because, like, I have no idea what the 70s Mimic is made from. But Edwinium steel is kinda nuts, and it survives in magma. Whereas Ruined Mimic folds at an elevator door, so I guess Ruined Mimic is a little more fragile. So I think it's more believable that Mimic gets destroyed modern day. Anyway. What if the suit M2 wears means he'll wear the body of the... I mean, he's kind of already worn, William Afton. Do you guys think Burntrap will come back? That's actually a question I should ask. I would love Burntrap to be elaborated on. I don't think he'll come back, but I really would like it. I'd love if in like this Abyss game or something, he switches costumes and then one of them is just casually Burntrap. That would be nuts. The thing is, the Mimic is just not there if the smoke clears. Yeah, I know. I've actually seen that. It's, the Mimic is taken out. I didn't say I know I did say it destroys the Mimic, but it takes the Mimic out, and the actual Mimic's whereabouts is unknown. But I think the implication is you don't have to worry about it anymore from the tone of the music. Is there a reason why Scott and Steele were named Cassie? It's going to foreshadow its position. I don't know if there is going to be a connection between Cassie and Cassidy. I think it's just Scott has similar names. You also count the amount of Mikes and Jeremys have appeared in this franchise. I guarantee you they're not all relevant. I mean, also, why do we get so much backstory about Fiona? How she works at MCM? The fact she has a history of significant words to the entire franchise. If she supposedly died, what was the point of introducing her in the first place? She's important to Secret of the Mimic. She might not be important in the whole story, but she's important to that game. She's more important than, like, M1 is. Because in Secret of the Mimic, M1, the role M1 plays could have easily been played by M2. In the role of that game in isolation. Which is why the M1 reveal was so interesting. Which, by the way, I will add this too onto this prediction as well. I will repeat something I said way earlier on in the stream, which most people probably weren't here for. I do not think M1 is in MXCS currently. I think M1 was taken out and is now somewhere unknown. I don't think M1 is Glitch Trap. I'm convinced M2 is Glitch Trap. I know Game Theory thinks M1's Glitch Trap, but I don't think so. But yeah, I think MXCS acts so different in Ruin to Secret of the Mimic. I just don't think they're the same. And the really big reason why I don't think M1 is in MXCS anymore is because Secret of the Mimic establishes this program called Cradle.exe, which is a program designed by M1 specifically to create boundaries for M2. And when I think of a machine program running a program that puts out boundaries for M2 in the modern day, my mind immediately goes to modern Nexus. So I think the MXCS machine is currently running Cradle, not M1. I think M1 is somewhere unaccounted for right now, and I think that we'll learn what that is in the next game. I don't think we have the answer to that just yet. But I do know that some people have their own theories and stuff, but personally, I just think she's in a new body. Or some other way unaccounted for. I think it's two conflicting endings. Princess Quest has the protagonist kill Glitch Trap. Featherstone and Glitch Trap kill the protagonist. I don't know. I disagree. The Hope Trap ending does not end with Cassie's dad being killed. Because I don't think he's alive in the first place. Because of our quantum immortality. It's a concept introduced in the Tales from the Pizzaplex stories. Basically, the idea is you die in this VR world in Five Nights at Freddy's for some reason. And even though your body dies, your spirit remains in the virtual world. I think this is what's going on with Cassie's dad. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying that this is what I think's going on. So I think Cassie's dad is consciousness is stuck in the VR world, and I don't think that Glitch Trap finished you off definitively. I think all he did was lock you in a room. You know how, like, in Help Wanted, the stuffed ending? No, the other one. The end. There's an ending where the merge ending. At the end of it, Glitch Trap locks Vanessa behind a door, and that's kind of metaphorical because she's not literally locked behind there. It's just a metaphor for Glitch Trap kind of taking over her or locking away her consciousness. I think Glitch Trap locked away Cassie's dad's consciousness. I don't think it killed him. And here's the real kicker about the Princess Quest ending. The first part of the Princess Quest ending is the princess getting a glitchy key to free Cassie's dad from a room. Your player character in the Cassie's dad in Help Wanted 2 in the Princess Quest ending is locked in a room by Glitch Trap. He is not just chilling in their hub world. He is locked in a room by Glitch Trap. The princess needs the glitchy key to let you out, and then you get the rest of the Princess Quest stuff. So, the fact that Cassie's dad starts off locked in a room in that ending by Glitch Trap makes me think that he's already been taken out by Glitch Trap. Especially considering I've also, as Ed said, been a subscriber to the theory that it's Cassie's dad's consciousness in that space. And we know that from like Help Wanted, that Glitch Trap seems to seal Vanessa's consciousness behind a door. This is something he's done before. So it's not like I'm putting this out of nowhere. Like, he did that to Vanessa. So I think he's just doing that to Cassie's dad, and I think that then the Princess Quest machine shows up. So the Help Trap ending pretty nicely flows into the Vanny ending. Even if I explain that really poorly. That's what I've been saying about two mimics, and you said it's dumb. Well, then I misunderstood. Because I thought you were saying that there's two different physical mimics. Whereas that's, especially when you're saying, if you word it as two mimics, I'm going to assume you mean there's two of them. So, like, all I said was that the mimic over time has become more fragile. That's very different, there being two different mimics. I mean, obviously, there's two different mimic programs, but, like, physically. I don't think the mimic created a second body and then there's just now two of them. I think that the mimic's body deteriorated and it had to replace parts over time. So if that is what you're saying, if you, then I'm sorry for calling it dumb, but your wording was probably dumb, if that's what you meant. Look, I get it. I mean, I've got pretty bad wording too, especially when it's like 2 a.m. I'm not much better right now, but if that was what you were saying, I apologize. Hello, Nobody79. I think Burnt Shot was intended to be the main body. I don't think Burnt Shot was intended, period. No, but I think the current story right now is that the mimic is wearing William Afton's corpse. I think that's just the easiest answer for Burnt Trap. I'd like a physical recording showing Burnt Trap, not in the game. That would be good too. Yeah, sure. In Ruin 2, you'd want to see Mimic become Burnt Trap. Yeah, I said that too, yeah. Again, I'd love for it just... I want it to be casual. Don't even make it a big lore drop. Just make it a... Throw it in with random mascots. It'd be the funniest thing ever. If it was just like a 1 in 10 chance it just turns into Burnt Trap. I'd like to call this chronicle storytelling, which is when something or someone is introduced with seemingly significant role and then they die in the title they appear in, they'll return. Whereas importantly, when M1 talks with Mita, the subtitles refer to M1 as Fiona. I believe that was an error and has been corrected in an update. The Secret of the Mimic DLC revealed Arnold turning into Mexus. The Vanny ending in Hope 102 shows a view of Vanny. She sees Cassie's father. Story she could break. Oh yeah, Cassie's father's stuck in. Yeah. Hello, Toaster. Today is a state of play. Do you think there will be a FNaF 12 teaser? No, definitely not. But May 2023 happened, so I can't trust anything when it comes to this franchise. I will be watching State of Play just in case, and I will be streaming it too. And it will be a separate stream. I'm not streaming for that long. I will take like a short nap between streams. Vanny is one written the code micro mosquito breach. Oh, okay, that's what you're getting at. Yep. I personally think it's Edwin, but yeah, actually, Vanny... Is Vanny the one who tells Gregory to crush the Vile Band? That feels counterintuitive to her motives. I mean, it could be... Yeah, she wants Gregory to... Yeah, I mean, it could be Vanessa. Like, Vanessa's, like, call for help. Oh, that would be a really cool narrative, actually. If the wall code was Vanessa trying to break herself free, but she knows she can't, so she tries to use a code to get someone else to do it. And then that's why Gregory plays Princess Quest. That would be a very compelling narrative. I don't know if that's what you intended, but when you said that, but that would be a very cool story. I'd like that. I'd like that a lot more than Gregory just randomly does it. Because right now, we have no freaking idea why Gregory just decides to start gaming in Freddy's. But we know it's the canon ending, so apparently he does. Maybe he's just... It's definitely a cooler theory than Gregory just is a compulsive gamer and can't put the arcade machines down. But that would be significantly funnier, so I'm not sure which one I like more. Wait, what if the Princess Quest 4 ending happens during the end of FNAF 12 and is the way that M2 will die? I'm gonna be so for real. I think Hope 102's killing off of Glitch Trap was just supposed to be... I think Hope 102 was filler. So I don't think its ending was intended to be this big thing. I think the Princess Quest 4 ending was basically intended to be Princess Quest 3. Because Princess Quest 3 ended off with, we killed Glitch Trap, everyone's now fine. But then Princess Quest 4 was like, it's this one that kills him off. So to me, I look at that and it makes me think that Princess Quest 4 only exists to say Princess Quest 3 didn't work so that we could have one more game to squeeze Glitch Trap in. I think Glitch Trap is dead by the end of Help 102, which is just after Security Breach, I think. So you think Glitch Trap is dead right now in the story? Yes. The Glitch Trap code, I don't think the that program is still around. In my opinion, not at the moment. M2 is. I'm definitely think M2 is okay. I think M2 is Glitch Trap. Yes. I don't think killing Glitch Trap kills M2. Though. I think it removes the Afton data, and I think it. I think. I think that's just it. I don't think it kills M2. It's just another instance of the program. It's like the prototype mimics in Secret Mimic. I know some people think the prototype mimics are created by the mimic. I don't think so personally because we know Edwin made prototypes, so it just kind of lines up when we see prototypes later on. But the prototype mimics are also running M2 and they're just also controlled by the mimic. I don't think squashing a prototype would kill the mimic. Like, the program can be in multiple places at one time. You kind of need to take out all instances to get rid of it. And that one of them is going to be the instance in the mimic itself. And one of them is going to be the instance which is a glitch trap. The glitch trap instance of the M2 program is taken out. The actual mimic itself, M2 in the endoskeleton, is still around and is the remaining piece. And then M1 was what M2 is copied off of. M1 and M2 are different programs, but M2 is a copy of M1, so they function the same way. However, M2 in multiple instances of M2, I think are connected. So like M2, Mimic can control other things that M2 has been put into. I know that's very, very confusing. I don't know if I probably should make a diagram about that, but that's been how I've interpreted the connections there. Here's what you meant. Burn Sharp is M2. The original Ruin is Fazbear Entertainment. Yeah, no, I don't. No, I disagree still. Yeah, you're right. I do disagree with that theory. I don't think there's two separate physical mimics. I think it's probably Edwin. Yeah, the wall code. Yeah, I think it's written by Edwin as well. But I do like the Vanessa idea. Gotta go and probably won't be back. That's fine. Thanks for joining. Yeah, Vanny already betrayed Glitch Trap during security. Reached the button to put fire in the room was Vanny doing it. Oh, that's compelling. Oh, I like that. I really like any theory, any interpretation of Vanessa Vanny, where it's like Vanessa is actively doing everything she can to try and counter what Vanny is also doing. It makes the struggle between the two really compelling. I really like the idea that Vanessa set up the buttons to burn Trap. Meanwhile, Vanny is trying to support it. I just love Vanessa and Vanny is so cool. I'm so sad that the Princess Quest ending that defeated her was the canon one. I wanted to see more of that. An old theory of mine is that Gregory's parents were working at the Pizzaplex staff till they disappeared. Oh yeah, look, I want to know more about the parents between Gregory and Cassie, for sure. Gregory especially is a big anomaly right now. I don't really have any theories myself, but I do want to know more. Yeah, I think just the William part of M2 is dead. And I think that's why the Mimic isn't Burn Trap anymore. Because the Afton data, if M2 is like a hive collection of information, I think the Afton data is in the Glitch Trap instance. Glitch Trap was taken out, and the Afton data's gone, but most of the stuff about M2 was from the Mimic. M2 OMC. I don't know about M2 being OMC or Vanny. Yeah. The Princess Quest 4 ending is the end of the Glitch Trap persona. Why do you think the rabbit-eared mask map bot gives Cassie the Vanny mask? Beforehand. Oh no, you got good. Yeah, that's the one thing with Hope 102. I can never quite decide exactly where in the timeline it goes. That is, you're right to call that out. That is a bit of a contradiction on my behalf. It's just because I've been constantly tossing where exactly it goes, whether after Ruin or before Ruin. It could, I don't know. That's my answer. I haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Obviously, the mask bot and the map bot giving the mask to Cassie is still Glitchtrap doing it. But at the end of the day, to be fair, like, as I said before, the help trap ending flows into the Vanny ending, in my opinion. And that cutscene's part of the help trap ending. So even under my interpretation there, the Vanny ending just happened. For what I said to be true, the Vanny ending just has to happen at some point during Ruin, before the Mimic appears. However, that is weird though. The other possibility is that the bot becoming like rabbit-eared and stuff was before it's defeated, but Mapbot is now at the time of Ruin functioning normally. I don't know. I've got I don't know. Yeah, Hope 1 and 2, I haven't quite figured it out. I'm gonna be honest. Even if Glitchtrap is dead now, Steelwool can still make a game that happens before his death. Help 1 and 3 is totally not happening. So the whole purpose of the Help Wanted games is to adapt non-VR games into VR. We have now got all those games adapted. Secret of the Mimic is just going to have a VR mode, so it's not necessary there. We've got 1 through 5 in the first Help Wanted, 5 again and 6 in Help Wanted 2, as well as Security Breach. The only game we have not got adapted into VR is Ultimate Custom Night. And I'm not super confident Ultimate Custom Night will ever get adapted into VR, just because it's kind of an all-over-the-place game that would require Steelwool to do kind of a lot. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not confident it'll happen. I don't think that there's a reason to make a Help Wanted 3. Isn't Burnshot supposed to be a statue-like character? It was, it's not now. It's kind of odd for M2 to be doing that. No. Okay. Scott's intent for the character is different to the character we got in the game. Scott has said that what we got is what's canon. Scott has used future material to course correct things that weren't right. These are things that are all confirmed from the Scott's interview. So, Burntrap was handled wrong by Steelwool, but the incorrect handling of Burntrap is now what they're going with anyway, because it is what released. So, it'd be like M2 is now Burntrap, but Burntrap in Scott's original vision was probably not supposed to be M2. Or if it was supposed to be a digital hallucination from the Glitchtrap instance, rather than a physical thing. The chip from Circus, dear God, not the chip from Circus, baby. That's just an excuse for Enid to be able to talk to you. I love the old John FNaF theories that went into that. So funny. Look, don't hate the theorists. Can't hate the theorists. They create some funny stuff sometimes. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. Ah. 3 hours of recording, 2 a.m. If I went to sleep now, I'd have 5 hours of sleep. Maybe less than. Oh, guys. Oh, no. Yeah, so I think one of my biggest questions for me personally is the placement of Help Wanted 2. I can't figure out a clean spot for it. Does anyone have any ideas on that? Like, where do y'all place it? Just because that's now bothering me, ever since that comment was brought up. I'll give it a second for, like, my words to get to you. Your words to get to me. I think Burnshot was meant to be the body Glitchtrap M2 had Vanny together for it. See, the thing is with Burntrap is it wasn't just supposed to move. It was not supposed to move. It was also just plopped around. Like, it did move. It just didn't move, right? It just appeared in different places. So it definitely gives me... The original intent for it gave me Glitchtrap hallucination vibes. Because Gregory was... There is some weirdness with Gregory and due to his past. Yo, JoJo's reference is absolutely goated. I think Vanny is dead. She and Vanessa are basically Diablo from JoJo. She was created by Glitch Trap but didn't die with him. No, yeah, Vanny was Vanny isn't really a character. Vanny is the persona that Glitch Trap created to be as Vanessa. Kind of. I mean, no, it was the other way. No, Vanessa did create it because she's a reluctant follower and she talks about it in the Hope Wanted, but the actual personality behind Vanny and stuff is just Glitch Trap. The Glitch Trap in her mind was defeated in Princess Quest 3. That's when Vanny was defeated. The Vanny costume still exists, and the Vanny persona still technically exists if Vanessa just felt like wearing a fursuit. You know, like in Hope Wanted 2. You think it's before Ruin? Yeah. That's currently what I'm leaning on too, but there is some weirdness there with the Hope Trap ending. Vanny's items of Glitch Trap takes over Vanessa's mind. Yeah. Do you think there will be a trial instead of late? Not at all, but I'm gonna ruin my sleep schedule just to make sure anyways. I mean, my sleep schedule is already ruined. Laugh. Please. Whoa. Hey guys, want to see something cool? If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure... Hang on, I gotta turn off lighting. Yeah, guys, you get some out of bounds. This is some bonus content. By the way, here's where the elevator is. If y'all ever wondered what the tunnel was from the mimic room to the elevator, it's just a big spiral. It's just a big spiral. Yeah. The biggest bird. I'm getting distracted. I'm clearly tired. I'm probably going to end stream very shortly. So I'll read some more comments and then I'll head off. I'll look at one thing though, because there's actually something really cool I want to show off. Goddammit, I can't. I don't think. Oh, I can't. I don't have the text. Okay, never mind. Never mind, I'm cooked. You get to look at Gregory's backpack. Gregory. Yeah, I'm definitely tired and gotta go to bed. Escape the Beast with canon. Gregory learns hide and seek from Cassidy, a game died. It's absolute fun. You're having fun. I do think Escape the Pizzaplex is canon. Ugh, that's a horrible lighting. Just get me out of flight mode. Ugh. I prefer not seeing. Let's look at this Nexus machine. Do you think Helpy AI in the Vanny mask that helps Cassie is Glitch Trap? This is where some complications lie. I want to say yes, but there's also a part of me that's like, if Glitch Trap was defeated, would it really just... Like, is that just now the Mimic? Is that just the Mimic program that's not Glitch Trap? I don't know. I don't know. The weirdness with Hull Pointed. There's some weirdness with Hull Pointed too. I think Helpy's got to be Glitch Trap, right? Because in Hull Pointed 2, it's represented by Helpy. So, can he spawn Mimikkin? No, because I don't have Unreal Engine console. The only thing I've got's the debug menu. I can do other cool stuff, but I can't do that. I can give myself items. Woo! I already have all the items. I have nothing interesting to share. Wish this would work. This button's the cool button. Alright, I am gonna go to bed. I'm clearly distracted. Did you go to VidCon? No, I'm not going to any conventions. I live in Australia, buddy. I'm nowhere near any of the cool conventions. And if I am near the cool conventions, then I'm broke. I'm not going to them anyway. Okay, I'm too tired for this. I am going to go to bed. This has been a fun stream. Thank you all for being here. I do intend to do more theory videos and stuff. I tend to do theory videos on the next, maybe not the next game, because I think this stream was kind of that purpose. But just in general, I'll probably will do more Fights Freddy's videos in general. It might be a bit far away though, because as I said, I'm a game developer more than a YouTuber. I've said that somewhere. But yeah, in fact, let's end this stream off with that, actually. I want to end the stream off by showing y'all something fire. Welcome, this is my game. I'm gonna turn the volume up. I made Lean Simulator. It's, if you like the earlier Five Nights at Freddy's games, and you like really stupid stuff, I've got you covered. Because this game plays very similarly to like Five Nights at Freddy's 2. But it's about Lean. If we say William is Burn Trap, Glitch Trap is William, same with M2. Or M1's got, come on, make it simple. William's dead and up since Ultimate Custom Night. Guys, you're gonna see some goated gameplay. I'm gonna remove all my bonuses. Pure. Gone full vanilla. I'll have some green for you. Good luck playing FNaF 4 in real life. From the hallucinations of being too tired. Is that the implication of that comment? There's a demo for this, by the way. You don't have to pay. There is a paid version, but there is like a free version too. So you guys, unfortunately, I did charge for my meme game, but it is kind of banger. So I think it's worth the money. Well, not fully dead. Mimic is fully dead. VIP confirmed William is alive and working in the pizza. It did not do that. Yeah. Isn't this gameplay insane, guys? Top 10 video games of all time. Look, I'm all for killing my streams before actually ending them. Believe it or not, this game does get fun. It actually increases over time, and it's like a survivor time kind of thing. It's like an endless game where you try and survive as long as you can, and you like accumulate bonuses to make it easier. And there's also like post-game content with like a custom night equivalent, basically. There's like glossary entries which contain story entries, because there's story in my meme game. We have a... You guys have audio? Yeah, you guys have audio. Sweet. You guys have visuals? Yes, good. I gotta upgrade my lean quality. No, I threw my green accidentally. Tragic. My green came back. Not really, you're probably gonna hate 5-4 nightmares after that stream. Oh, hang on. My vision's getting a little blurry, guys. Take a guess what you have to do to restore your vision. Peak FNaF Abyss leaks. Yeah, guys, this is FNaF Abyss. As you can see, this is clearly Michael Afton. Did you enter? No. What is this game? It's Peak. No, fuck no, he left. It's Lean Simulator Desperation. Okay, so the graying screen, if you didn't guess, it's a sign of dehydration. I need to drink lean. As I said, this game actually it's a little more difficult than you expect it to be. He's alive. Yeah, and there's like 50 of them. Look at them all. The Michael Afton Horde. Oh, my generator's broken. Guys, we need to fix the generator. If you guys, let's play mobile games to fix the generator. A fun fact, the conduit puzzles from Secret of the Mimic were really similar to that. To the point when Secret of the Mimic came out, me and my entire friend group basically all said, yeah, it's literally Lean Simulator to the conduit puzzles. Oh no. Michael spotted. Very nice. Is someone just here? No? Good. Michael, that's M3. No, but I would seriously, if you do enjoy the early FNaF games, this game does feel kind of similar. So like, I would definitely recommend like checking out the demo. Would be really cool because it is probably more fun than you'd expect it to be from looking at the footage. Because it ramps up in difficulty and more things are added over time. You get like challenges and stuff. And yeah, I'm working on a really cool update, which removes that solid black barrier because I think it looks really bad. Fucking hell. Damn. Wait, what if the M in Michael stands for Mimic? So true. So true. I'm glad we're all ending this stream on a serious note. This isn't great. This is not great. Damn. Wait, I just realized that Fazgoon. Oh. Check this out too. I got one other really cool thing to show. There's a running version. It's in this peak. Hell yeah. We gaming for real. W. M3 chase. Yeah, guys, I leaked the chase sequence for the next FNaF game. The music's supposed to be synced up, but I had to load it in, so. Oh fuck. Damn. This is Michael UCN created by CC to make a whip for him. Oh my god. Also, I haven't beaten my own game. But I'm a failure. You guys want to see the game at its hardest? I'll do this very last thing. And then I'll end stream. I thought this would be a funny note to end on. Guys, are we feeling Cuboid, Styrofoam, or Legacy today? I'll let you guys decide which can of lean to have while I assign bonuses. Have you guys decided yet? Or is No. Alright. I guess we'll just go with styrofoam. I'm a big fan of styrofoam. Anyways, this is the custom game menu. We can change a bunch of variables. And I mean a bunch of variables. Or challenge the Craig. Look at this shit. Look how quick I die. And look at how terrible everything is. The prices are terrible. This button is terrible. The stability is terrible. You're terrible. No, there's ominous white text. Oh, this is a terrible arrangement. Oh no. I better get it back up so I can repair it. What's the problem? WTF? Is that a bug? I wanted to discover that now. I'll look into it later. Oh man. Cooked. Cooked. It's not even functional. What am I doing, bro? I don't even have a single... Oh, I don't have any lean. Guys, the lean. I'm out of lean. I'm so glad I'm staying out later tonight just for this. I actually am. This game's actually surprisingly fun. I spent a long time developing this, a lot longer than I'd like to admit. And it's purely because I genuinely thought it was a fun game. As I said, I play the FNaF games because I think they're fun games, so I don't think it's a big surprise that I'd make something like a stupid one like this. Fuck. Yeah. That's enough for today. Here's my stats. Anyway, I just wanted to show my game, just because I thought it'd be funny. Anyway, for those who have really stuck around all the way to the end, thank you, y'all are awesome. I'm gonna end stream now though. I am tired. I'm gonna need to wake up in about 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 hours? Yeah. 4 hours I have to wake up in. I haven't even slept yet. I'll get a 3-hour nap before my next stream, where I stream State of Play. There won't be anything at State of Play. You know what? I'll show an exclusive sneak peek at the next Lead Simulator Desperation update. I'm sure that will be more interesting than anything we see at State of Play. And if Five Nights at Freddy's happens, I'll explode on stream. Alright. Good night, morning, whatever. Thanks so much. Y'all have been awesome. Okay, I'm really terrible at ending off streams.